Get 'em Jimmy, where low shack at? The bottle's getting nippy up the crack and we stacking chips, all of it's what I want. Plus money winners, that's what I'm on. You can say I'm gone. I prefer elevated pub sports radio. Time to get educated, get produced, leave the juice, letting loose with so much abuse that the bookies wanna call a truce. They getting slaughtered. Can't forget Jeff and low baggers in the chat. That's a lethal weapon 'cause we be pubbing.
What up, cappers, gamblers, punters, hustlers, low baggers? Happy Wednesday, October 25th to all of you. Thank you for watching Betting with the Bag right here on Pub Sports Radio. The Philadelphia Phillies dream perished last night. And I did, shout out to Billy Friedrich. Billy Friedrich moved on the Arizona Diamondbacks down 2-0 plus 615. Shout out to Londo, who was smashing the Diamondbacks as they came back in the series. I didn't hedge. And last night I did a small hedge, 300 plus 145. So I still lost 170 on those two future bets. Was it worth the ride? I don't know. It's too bad that it is gone now. And I lost on the first 5 under, which I really liked. Diamondbacks did their thing and Fott did his thing. And it's okay. It's okay. These things happen, and it's about handling these ebbs and flows and not getting too excited about the hope. And we had a monster weekend, picked up 1.5 on the Sunday and Monday live stream. So everything is fine. But, it was kind of fun with that amount of money, out there. And it's too bad that it didn't come to fruition. I'm excited to be here. We had our NFL show last night, all locked and loaded. And I only ended up moving on 5 bets. There's a few more that I really want. Just waiting for certain numbers that could be there right now. Only 5 bets in NFL. So I'll let you guys know those right off the hop. I'm doubling up on the Thursday nighter. Primetime unders and all that good stuff. I don't care. I'm on the over 42 in Tampa Bay, Buffalo. And I'm on the Buccaneers team total over 16.5. And I got that at even money at Bet365. I'm on the Rams, Dallas Cowboys under 45.5, the Broncos +8, and the Bengals +6. That is my action at this point. There's other spots that I want. And, if you watch the video, you'll see, and I'm close to moving on. But that's all that I felt strong enough to want to lock in at that point. Shout out to all the cappers in the chat. There's Londo, 5-unit max bet on the Snakes. Congratulations. Huge work. Andrew G says, who would have thought Snakes and Rangers? You're absolutely right. Jose Bouquet bet the backs last night, partially because of Londo. There's Viper MB in the house. And there's Justin McElvey with the stacks play of the day, 86 and 89. And if you know my guy, Justin, you'll know that that's a profit. That's a profit ROI on stacks right now. And he's been battling, but he has big plus lines constantly. So the stacks play of the day is in. It is in. So let's lock that in. We are starting with NHL, then getting into NCAA football, and then we are closing with NBA. So we have NCAA football, the 2 games tonight with Big Ragoo, and then we have a 7-game best bet. 7-game now. 5 are Ragoos. I open it and close it. The rest is Big Ragoo. And 2 weeks ago, we did our first best bet video, and he went 2-0-1. Yeah, no losses on his best bet video from 2 weeks ago. Or was that 3 weeks ago? I think that might have actually been whatever it was. But he's back in business here tonight. Let's lock down the stacks play of the day here from our guy, Justin McElvey. Ronnie and Bergie, Cash Liberty -4.5, Diamondbacks +143, Diamondbacks +0.5, and a live bet on Maple Leafs -1.5. Nice job. Dan Kelly says, I'm going to be on Scotty Barnes props to start the year. Dan Kelly's going to be on Scotty Barnes props to start the year. They say he's made a quantum leap from last season. It's the right time for him age-wise to have made that leap. I mean, it's all about him for us up here in Toronto. I'm glad to hear that. Jay Smooth in the house. Von Polo ready to get to work. Rem Most. Ron Walsek says, my thoughts are for you, Jimmy, to hit a pick 5 and other bets for 10K plus profit on Breeders' Cup weekend. Well, yeah, it sounds real nice, Ron. Sounds real nice. I mean, the prep is already being done, of course. It's the Breeders' Cup. We can kind of do it for months on the big races, but thank you, Ron. Thank you for the positive energy, my friend. And there's Billy Friedrich. Catch the plus 615. Absolutely beautiful. All I had to do is put, what, $200 on that and just sit back and relax. I don't know why I did. I was pretty confident with the Phillies going into Arizona up 2-0. Saturated says, happy Wemby Day. Our guy, Wemby, who hangs out at Southtown 101. At our bar, Wemby. We have the mural of him there. We've seen him down there drinking lemonade. Shout out to Wemby. Michael Johnson ready to get to work. Dav Fan says, baseball ultimately was rough for me this year too, mostly because I believed in good teams winning in front of their fans at home. Yeah, Dav Fan. I am very fortunate that I didn't move on the Astros. There were so many times during this playoff run where I was lamenting the fact that I hadn't. And that was, watching Altuve hit that home run to take the 3-2 lead going back to Houston. I mean, can you imagine them not succeeding? Watching the Phillies win Game 5 on the road, coming back to Philly up 3-2. Can you imagine them not succeeding? I mean, that's the wild world of what we deal with sports. Andrew G says, Red October making me drink right now. There's J-Dub in the house. Markel ready to go. Serious business. Oh, great stuff from all you guys. Jojo Rich, Real Deal Prime. Harold Williams, 2-0 start to the NBA season. Suns money line, Denver first half. Nice job. Darren Turner says Suns +3 paid me good yesterday. I love hearing that, Darren. Billy Friedrich is on Bills first half -4.5 in that one. And Dav Fenn, I hear you, man. Everything that you're saying is completely legitimate. It was wild to watch all the 100-team wins, 100-win teams, I should say, fall apart. It was wild. And there's JR says, what up, Jimmy? Need a birthday pick. If it can be in the Nets versus Cavs game, I'll like that because I will be there tonight. I'll take whatever is going to cash. Well, you guys have seen that we have now, I mean, it's crazy to say this out loud, but we've now hit double digits. We've now hit double digits with winners, straight winners on my birthday picks. So I cannot give you a birthday pick on Nets Cavs, but I know the man who can, and that is Dutch Boy Fresh. He's already moved on the game. So, but I will give you a birthday pick. Harold Williams already moved on Detroit -7.5. So let's get JR's birthday day. Happy birthday to JR. Thank you for starting it here with us at Pub Sports Radio. Copy and paste JR's birthday right here. Philly Eagle Flyer ready to get to work. Nice to see you. We got serious business ready to go. It's time to. Oh, there's Fat Wally in the house. Great to see you. He says, what's the plan for Breeders' Cup weekend? Much love and respect. Well, it's not going to be. And Billy Friedrich says something called Hunter Shepard is in that for Cavs tonight. He does look. I was thinking when I saw that picture, I was like, is this a headshot? Is this on a stand-up comedy wall somewhere? On a comedy club wall? This is the plan, Wally, for Breeders' Cup here. We will be live Friday and Saturday. And I don't know how we're going to do it because so many of the stars of our show are going to be live at Santa Anita. So we're going to need help. And I know spending penny bombs will be a big help, but I need people to help. So I will reach out to people over the next few days because so many of the stars now they're going to be coming to us live from Santa Anita, but still we need people on screen here with us. Nasty Nate in the house says, bet your family's lives on the Celtics. Worst case, you get a fresh start. There we go. Nasty Nate. Oh man, that's funny. Okay. Great to see all of you guys. Von Polo says, hope you cashed on the D-backs last night. Well, I didn't cash 600 on the D-backs, if that's what you are wondering. So the future bets on Philly are lost 170 on those. There's Red Girl ready to go. Major Tom, and look at that razor sharp picks. coming off a big day, another huge day for him. 32-9-1 in the MLB playoffs. Unbelievable. Polo this, Polo that says took the Warriors to miss the playoffs plus 280 large and make playing tournament 220 semi-large. That's exciting. There's Troy Torrance in the house. Our NFL is all up. Harold Williams, I did a little 300 at plus 145. I mean, I just so I could wake up in the morning. But then I lost 150 on the first 5 under, so all right, it is what it is. It is what it is. Dan Kelly says Lakers looked awful. And no, Justin McAfee, I did not place any NBA futures. And I would like to cut down my futures. I mean, the best part of my MLB season here was I only had one future on pennant in World Series 1. That's almost never happened in the sport before. And our bookies want us to bet futures badly. So, no, I'm trying to cut them down. Slatsy says, just checking in from Vegas, baby. Winnipeg Jets playing for bonus. Sick wife was gold. How do we bet the Devils today? That was a great call, Slatsy. And Billy Friedrich says, down to the final 10 in the Survivor contest. Let's go. Yes, we have our Cappers contest show tomorrow. And just a little preview of that. We're going to have some sadness because my co-host, Jose Bouquet, also is missing some hope. He has been eliminated from the Survivor pool. North End said absolutely smashed the NHL last night, but what is with the schedule? So many 1 and 2 games. Yeah. Polo this on Wemby over 2.5 blocks. Large. 1 of 1. Benny in the house is what's good. Hustler, Stimmy OG ready to go. King Al ready to eat. Great to see all of you guys. DC Capper ready to fire. DC Capper says I tried everything to get you to stay off Tampa Bay, Jimmy. It's okay, DC. I had a winning week. That's all that I care about. And I destroyed the live streams. So thank you for trying, DC Capper. And that's always going to be helpful. But, I just need my bankroll to increase. But thank you for trying to push me in the right direction, as always. All right. So let's get to work right now. We're going to get into the lone NHL game. Let's get into the line history here for that one and discuss it. 7:30 p.m. Eastern, the Washington Capitals 1-3-1, 0-1-1 on the road at the New Jersey Devils 3-1-1, 1-1-1 at home with Hunter Shepard's NHL debut. Hunter Shepard. Who is this man? Hunter Shepard. A Minnesota native. He was a 4-year player at the University of Minnesota Duluth, and he was very good there. He started his career in the ECHL with South Carolina Stingrays, and he was very good there. In fact, I bet you if Hunter Shepard was 6'4", he would have been drafted very high, and he would have already made his NHL debut because he's a good goaltender. He had to play in the ECHL in both 2021 and 21-22. He got called up to Hershey each year. And last year at Hershey, he was very good. 28-5, 2.18 goals against average, .916 save percentage. He's had to beat every odd to have this opportunity. We talk about that with 6 feet tall goaltender. So I like Hunter Shepard. I just think that the Capitals are a horrible hockey team. And the fact that the Penguins and the Capitals have just stuck with this core group until they're 37 and 38 and 39 is a huge, huge mistake. But they'll still sell out and won't make the playoffs, and we'll have to deal with those consequences. Let's get into the line history here for this one. We have the Devils at minus 239. Open up minus 234. They got up to minus 244. They got up to minus 247 right away, last night, 1 in the morning. But now they're at minus 239. Let's get into the total here for this one. Capitals, Devils, we're sitting at a 6.5 juice to the over, minus 132 right now. So there's been a 7-cent move to that over. So here we go. Both teams are on the second half of a back-to-back. Both teams traveled to Jersey from Canada last night. Capitals come in off their third straight loss, a 4-1 setback Oh, geez, what? They didn't come back. They're playing at home. What the hell's wrong with me? I thought for some reason that they were in Canada last night. I screwed that up. Not thinking clearly. No, yeah, they were at home. Okay, my bad. Washington's just coming over from. Of course, I knew that. I don't know why I wrote that. I apologize. But the Devils are coming from Canada. Ovechkin scored his first goal of the year, and I don't think he scores 30 goals this year. I think he is going to score 28 goals this season. They've been outscored 19-6 this year so far. They have yet to win in regulation. Listen to this. They have scored one power play goal this year. They have one player on their roster who has a positive plus minus. That's Dylan Strome. The Devils come in off their second straight road win, 5-2 victory at Montreal last night to fully put a hat trick up on his former team. While the Capitals have one power play goal through 5 games, the Devils have 11. The Devils are a very interesting spot here. TJ says 14 shots on goal, 1 goal. How did that do for the team? There's Wine Time Sports in the house. And I want that cat says Ovechkin should be tired after having 14 shots on goal. So let's talk about this Devils team because this is crucial as we cap them moving forward because they're always going to be favorites and we're going to be able to fade them at times now. Jack Hughes has 4 goals, 10 assists, 14 points through 5 games. He's spectacular. Jesper Bratt has 3 goals and 6 assists. He's sitting with 9 points. It's just that line and the power play scoring, though. That's it. Timo Meier has no goals. Nico Hischier has 1 point. He's got 1 goal that came on the power play. He's got 0 even strength points this year. If this is going to be a one-line hockey team, we're going to be able to fade them against certain teams in certain spots, certain like a Kings team would be able to shut down that first line and focus everything on that first line. Certain teams are going to be able to shut them down. And in saying that, Robert Franklin, like in Devil's Puck Line, when we know everybody's going to be on them. There's my guy WT in the house. Billy Friedrich says Hunter Shepard has those crazy dead eyes. We know this about the Capitals is they are going to defend in front of Hunter Shepard tonight. And we know that this Devils team is one line. So breaking this down, the Capitals are not going to be able to put the Devils on the power play. They shouldn't even deliver outlet passes. I mean, they just got to get it deep and hustle and cycle. And I think that they're going to rally around Hunter Shepard. Does that mean that I want to back the Washington Capitals here? Absolutely not, under no circumstances. So what does that mean? It means that I either take the under or I take the Devils team total under. That's what it means. And that's what I've got to figure out here. Do I take the under or the Devils team total under? The Devils team total under 3.5 plus 125, which means if I don't have it up right now. I got to get the, you know what? I think let me just pull up my -1 calculator. I can't pay too much juice, but that 4 is appealing. Let me just get this -1 calculator up here quickly. Here we go. If anybody needs the -1 calculator, I'm going to pop it here into the chat. There's Andrew Lelio Jameson in the house. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining us. TJ says the under 6.5 at plus 114 is much better, in his opinion, than isolating the Devils. Yes, I just want to see what the price is here. And so we got 200 here and -190 and plus 125. It's -129. -129. Well, That's too expensive, probably. Rocco Rogers looking at Carlson goal at plus 500. So at this point, I'm going to be on the under 6.5. I think it's a great spot for that. You have the Devils, both teams on the second half of a back-to-back, but the Devils had to go through Canada, Washington with the short trip to Jersey, and are going to rally around Hunter Shepard, who deserves this opportunity. And we talk about these 6-foot goaltenders all the time. And I can't stress enough that nobody wanted to scout them. Every single time they had an opportunity, they did not get looked at. They had to force the issue, and this kid who's now 27, Hunter Shepard, has had to do that his whole entire life. Stella Girl says, well, Washington won't score more than 2. The New Jersey Devils could become an easy team to play if they're a one-line hockey team and their power play's ferocious. I mean that. All right, so close the live chat. And I'm sorry, Bloodman, not sure what you were saying there. All right, and Eric Jones says 1-9 under spot for New Jersey. Billy Friedrich says, I don't think Shepard holds up full game. I thought about the first period under 1.5 as well. I thought about that as well. That Hunter Shepard may not, maybe it's and I don't want to double up. So I'm going to be on the under 6.5 tonight. And I will bet that after the show. There is our breakdown for NHL. Washington Capitals at New Jersey Devils. Let's bring on the star every second Wednesday here on Betting with the Bag. Currently our leader in NFL Pub Hub. He was also our Season 1 champion. Season 2, he came 4th. And Season 3, he's back on top of the leaderboard. And we have 25 cappers that have been on NFL Pub Hub this year. 25 cappers, and he is number 1. The most consistent capper that we have on this show across every sport. Please welcome from Ocala, Florida, by way of New York City, the Big Ragoo to the show. Doc, what's up? What's good?
What's up? Hey, use that term loosely when you say star, okay? Because I'm just one of the guys just like you, man. Just trying to grind out a profit week to week. And now that MLB's over, I'm going to start hitting I'm going to catch up a little bit on the NHL, on the puck. So maybe I'll join you for a puck here and there too.
I would love that. That would be great. We would love that. We just have the one game today. Did you take a look at Caps Devils?
No, I did. I'm running behind the 8 as usual and everything else. But I got the NH. I got the I got our games, Cap, which is good. So we'll go over those and we'll see what we get on today.
Well, let's get. Oh yeah.
I was going to say, not to talk about the baseball, but I know a lot of our guys were on the Phils. That's a tough break yesterday. But you know what? That just goes to show you guys, these 100-win teams, it don't mean shit when they come to playoffs. Playoff is a different animal. And we knew Bochy, he was going to be tough. Game 7 scenario. He undefeated where Dusty has yet to win a 7. It's going to be interesting on the National League side, though. But I think the Rangers take it in like 6.
Yeah, it was, it was all just happening in slow motion, the loss there. We finished the NFL show, and the Diamondbacks just looked like they were in complete control. And these things happen. It's
going to be an exciting series, I think, though. A little different looks both ways, but
yeah,
we'll see how it pans out. We got big bats versus team that, plays a little bit of spotty baseball, but right now they're in a good spot.
I tell you, though, that watching Gabby Moreno star and Lourdes Gurriel be a huge part of the team, it's gut-wrenching. Like, it just hurts so much. It just the fact that our brain trust would not want to move forward with these guys. I mean, if you looked at what was our team missing, our lineup missing, Teoscar Hernandez. We were missing Teo, like that. We were missing his bat. To get rid of those 3 guys and bring in Dalton Varsho, it was just but there's no concerns here. We're moving forward with the same group, and it's It's just watching Moreno out there. I mean, can you imagine somebody that would choose Jensen and Kirk over Moreno, over this young stud? I mean, it's appalling, and that's who we have. But it is what it is.
I mean, they had a lot of Rays on that field last night too. Ex-Rays.
Yeah. Oh, it hurts, man. It hurts. But let's get into college football here. We have 2 games this evening, and then we have 7 best bets. 5 from Big Ragoo and 2 from me. I'll bookend these spots. But let's get in. Real deal saying Alex Anthopoulos. Yeah, it's so upsetting when you care about a franchise and you see them make these decisions on young ball players. It's appalling, and these are the $1 million experts. It harkens back to the old days of me wanting to ski mask Stu Jackson, and that evolved into the days not long ago when I wanted to do the same to Jim Benning. It brings me right back there. But
yeah, I got the same feelings for my Yankees too, man. The front office up there. If we can execute them in Times Square, sign me up.
I wish we didn't care so much. It would be a lot nicer if we didn't care so much. But do I want to Nancy Kerrigan and not just one shot? I want to just keep hammering that knee and then run and then get arrested for it. I'd be held in high regard to everybody up here for that. Okay. Let's get to work, which wouldn't mean that I wouldn't get assaulted in jail, but I would still be held in high regard. 7 p.m. Eastern, we get started. Ragoo, Jacksonville State Gamecocks 6-2, 4-1 in conference at Florida International, 4-4, 1-4 in conference. Riccardo Silva Stadium, Miami, Florida for this one. Let's get into the line history here first, and then the cash flow. I've not moved on either of these games, but you know that I have an affinity for Jacksonville State. I did fade them against Sam Houston, but we crushed when they played Eastern Michigan. Let's move over to college football and start working through these line moves and see what we are dealing with. Jacksonville State, FIU. Let's move over to Pinnacle. And we're sitting with Jacksonville State as 9-point favorites.
Wow.
That is a lot of points for Jacksonville State on the road. 9 minus 9 minus 107. When they were minus 6.5 at home against Eastern Michigan, we slammed it. They won 21-0. When they were 6.5 points the following week on the road at Sam Houston, that made no sense to me at all. None whatsoever. That would be the same spread. Now you're giving 9 points on the road. Look, we all liked what Zion Webb did last week, but this is a little much. Now this total is 49. The total is 49, and it opened up at 44. So we have a 5-point move to the over.
Yeah.
That helps if this was 44, there's Ecompo in the house. If this was 44 and we were dealing with a 9-point favorite and the volatility where it was, I would definitely be on FIU. But now we've seen it move 5 points to the over, so they're implying that there's increased volatility. Let's take a look at the cash flow then for this one. 72% of the tickets, 80% of the cash on Jacksonville State, and the line and market is moving in their direction. 61% of tickets and 73% of cash, and yet this has moved to 49. Does that make any sense? It's not saying that it's at 49 here on action. Let me just go over to my book and just ensure that it's at 49. It is. Okay, I don't know why action's not stating that. All right, so Jacksonville State bounced back from their 31-13 home loss to Liberty as 7-point dogs by beating Western Kentucky 2017 at home as 7.5-point dogs. And they deserve to win. They outgained Western Kentucky 484 to 339. They're second in Conference USA, just behind Liberty and just in front of New Mexico State. Shout out to Nasty Nate and his nephew, the star tight end over there. They have 5 running backs that get opportunities, but Malik Jackson has not been playing. He got hurt in the loss to Liberty. He's their best running back. And when he went down, they had to start using, a lot of other pieces. He's questionable here, but he has not played since he got hurt in the loss to Liberty. Zion Webb and Logan Smothers both have been given chances at being the number one quarterback here, but it looks like it's Zion's spot now. Against Western Kentucky, 22 of 39 for 218 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception, but he ran 28 times for 146 yards and a touchdown. The Gamecocks defense is strong. We know that about them. We watched them shut out Eastern Michigan after we talked so highly about them. They're 24th in the country in points against. Florida International comes in off a wild 33-27 double overtime win at Sam Houston as 6-point dogs. Freshman quarterback Keon Jenkins played well against Sam Houston, 26 of 38 for 190 yards and a touchdown. He has rushed for a touchdown now in 5 straight games, but this offensive line doesn't help him. I mean, this is a freshman running for his life. He's been sacked 33 times, and the Gamecocks front pass rush is very strong. They're averaging 3.13 sacks a game. Both teams won at Sam Houston in overtime.
Mm-hmm.
Both teams got beaten badly by Liberty. I do not think FIU should be 9-point dog here, Ragoo. But let's see if I can get the conviction to bet it. Ian Shaver says FIU is really bad. Sky Dragon says Jacksonville State is the one team that can still ruin my life. He's got New Mexico State to win the conference. Hale Williams agrees that FIU sucks. Take it away for us here, Doc. Jacksonville State, Florida International.
Yeah, this is one I probably won't be playing tonight, but based on what you've talked about, covered a lot of ground on common opponents and the rushing game, which the Gamecocks have a really solid. They got guys that I think 4 or 5 guys at 100-yard rushers in games. They're really built to put move the ball on the ground, so to speak. Although on the other side with Jenkins, the quarterback for FIU, a freshman, this is an offense that struggles mightily. I think they're ranked like 115. He's got more picks and TDs, and they give it up on the ground game. So they're not a real good football team overall, but that is a lot of points. To the way the numbers kind of crept up both ways with the total and the side. That's a ton of points, man. Would I feel confident in backing FIU? Not really. The Gamecocks are a nice team. They got 6 W's already. They can't participate in bowls already. I think they got to wait like another year, unless they run out of 6-win teams, and then they'll be eligible for a bowl. There's some kind of quirky rule on that. But on this particular spot, we're looking at a run heavy package, for the Gamecocks. And the way that number's crept up, I would probably find more value. I hate using value, but that as a word, but I think there's more opportunity to get a better bet down on the under versus the laying the 9, because I don't see a lot of points in this game. I really don't. I see more of a Gamecock type running control type offense to kind of do what they want, and defensively, I think they won't struggle against FIU, but they'll get some plays downfield, but they can put yards up, but they don't naturally come back to score a ton of points either. So I think the difference is the running game for the Gamecocks and the lack of offense. The points that FIU will put on the board. So I think I lean under here. I think that's probably the better look than laying the 9 with the Gamecocks, Jacksonville State.
Well, let's just take this one step further, because I think things are starting to, culminate or reveal itself. Let's take a look at Jacksonville State. Now, they have scored over 30 points against FBS competition in regulation once this year. Once. One time. And look, I know that FIU's defense is nothing to write home about. But if Jacksonville State, will hold down FIU with the strength of their defense, then instead of taking Florida International to, even though I like them at +9, I think that makes sense. I don't want to double up here on FIU +9 and Jacksonville State team total under. But I just don't see this team, without Malik Jackson, with Zion Webb, who needs to do everything on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
I think that if I'm concerned about the +9, I shouldn't be concerned about Jacksonville State team total under 30.5. I mean, if they won this game 27-14, would that surprise anybody? And
No.
if they won this game 27-10, I mean, or 27-17, I mean, that would not surprise anybody. You'd cash the team total under. And if they're way ahead in the first half, then they're going to run the ball and slow everything down. Eric Jones leaning to the over. 1 of 1. Benny says FIU +9. Can't trust Jacksonville State on the road. Eric Jones giving us a final score of 34-17. I'm going to move on either FIU +9 or Jacksonville State team total under. And I'm leaning towards the Jacksonville State team total under. I'll figure it out after the show and bet it and tweet it then.
So you think FIU's defense should hold it down because of the issues, not the issues with the running back, but the star back being out, and then they're going to struggle a little bit to put the ball up through the air and put points up?
It's not even necessarily that FIU's defense is going to be strong. It's just that I don't trust. Jacksonville State is all about their defense. I mean, the reason why we were so bullish on them against Eastern Michigan was because of their defense. And it was because they moved the ball on the ground. And now with Malik Jackson out, they're not only moving the ball on the ground often, but they're not doing it nearly as well as they were doing it. I mean, look at that game before the Liberty loss when Malik Jackson got hurt. He ran for 130 yards.
Yeah.
And so, they don't have anybody else who's in that world. There's Rez Mob in the house. What up, Rez? So, Jackson.
He's a horse, but they've got kids that have 100-yard games. But are they gonna be able to step up to to that level where Jackson's been? So.
And then here I've got a spot where Jacksonville State has done that once all year in regulation, scored over 30.5 points once.
Yeah.
So. There's Cam Raphael in the house. What up, Cam? Rez Mob ready to work. Paco Healy rolling with us as well. So Jacksonville State team total under 30.5 is my expectation. I don't want to double up here, but it would be a double up possibility. Let's move on to 8 p.m. Eastern. We have the UTEP Miners 2-6, 1-3 in Conference USA at the Sam Houston Bearkats 0-7, 0-4 in Conference USA. Elliott T. Bauer Stadium in Huntsville, Texas. And we know that the Bearkats are better than that record indicates. I believe. Maybe I shouldn't say we know, but I believe they are. This total, very low. We've seen these low totals for Sam Houston, and they're based on Sam Houston's stats, non-conference as well as conference, because they're a different team in conference against this type of competition than they were in non-conference. This total opened up at 36. It's up to 37. The first time it got up to 37, it went back down to 36.5, which is interesting and it's surprising. The spread is sitting here at 3.5, and it opened up at 3.5, and it dropped to 3, and then got to 3.5, and it dropped to 3, and got to 3.5. So it's actually not moved at all from the opening Pinnacle line, which is somewhat surprising. Von Polo liking Sam Houston -3, and Wine Time moving on UTEP +3.5. Let's get into the cash flow here. We have 58% of the tickets and 89% of the cash on the over, and it's surprising that when it first went up to 37, it dropped back to 36.5. Then you have 69% of the tickets and 84% of cash on Sam Houston. So why would it have gone down to 3? So I know that some places that got out early, the lines that got out early, there were 2.5s, but here at Pinnacle, it's so important to me what Pinnacle has done because that's where it is right now. So, yes, the Sharps got in when it was under a field goal, and God bless them. But right now it's at 3.5, and if I wanted it, I want to see this move to 4, and it doesn't look like that is happening. Von Polo says Sam Houston has no wins on the year. They're a favorite for a reason. They absolutely are. And this, this would be Sam Houston or no bet for me, but let's talk it out. UTEP followed up their first win this season versus an FBS school, winning at FIU 27-14 as 3.5-point dogs by losing badly to New Mexico State at home last week, 28-7 as 3-point dogs. So Gavin Hardison has been out for the last 3 games. and his best receiver, Tyron Smith, has been gone for weeks. So they're both gone, not coming back. So it's Cade McConnell has been the starting quarterback for the last 2 weeks, and he's struggled. Against New Mexico State, he was 15 of 32 for 179 yards. Sam Houston comes in off at 7 straight losses to start the year, losing 33-27 at home to FIU as 6-point favorites. Senior Keegan Shoemaker has looked good, and that was his best game of the year. He was 31 of 47 for 306 yards, 2 touchdowns, and interception. He's thrown 8 touchdowns in his last 4 games. Remember when he started the year, I mean, this guy was throwing for less than 100 yards a game. So they averaged 13.4 points per game, but in conference, they're putting up 385.8 yards per game. Outside of conference, non-conference, it's 147.7. So I want Sam Houston. But I find it very, very, very interesting that this went from 3.5 down to 3. That alone is the reason why I'm not on them right now, and I have caution about them. And I'm with Von Polo. Like when you see an 0-7 team as a favorite, I like that. But the fact that it went from 3.5 to 3, now back to 3.5 with all this money on them, makes me uncomfortable. Billy Friedrich says Sam Houston State just lost by 6 at home to FIU. 2 weeks ago, UTEP beat the same FIU team by 13 on the road. Take it away for us here, Doc. UTEP Miners, Sam Houston Bearkats.
Yeah, this is a classic bum fight, but they're probably the best 0-7 team in the nation, right? I would think, if there is one right now. But in FBS, this is a bad. They've had some hard struggles. Both of these teams offensively have some major struggles. With UTEP averaging, just under 17, 16 point something. And they early on, I mean, when they played Jackson State, I think early on they had a little bit of lead in that game, but they just find ways to to mess things up, this Sam Houston squad here. To UTEP's credit, they do have 2 wins on the season, but, not a lot of offense, there's not a lot of weaponry here. I don't know. I think this might be a sneaky overlook, the way it looks on paper. I've got it like 4 points in everything I do when I start out with my week. It always starts with, I get my power ratings on Tuesday lined up, and I start hammering games, and then I come up with looks that way, and then I start, comparing the notes on the personnel, and then just going back through them, and things line up. This is not one that I put on my radar, but on the total side, I think it presents a little bit of value, as bad as these teams are. And the funny thing is, I come up with a 2-point differential for Sam Houston here. So, I mean, I know they're getting a little bit of steam. I know there's some bets. There's more money. There's more money bet. There's more tickets bet on the over, but the sharper money is on the under here. So that kind of put me off a little bit there too. So I couldn't come to a side or a total on this one. This is a coin flip in my book. I mean, Sam Houston should get like Von Polo says, they're favored for a reason, obviously, but it's not a real strong look. Yeah, especially with the hook there. You said you feel more comfortable if the line went to 4 taking Sam Houston?
I do. I do very much, because I would think that they're going to expend all this negative energy, all this losing. They're gonna smash.
Yeah,
but
I don't hate that look either. Like I say, my numbers, they come out to what they come out, and I don't agree wholeheartedly with the look that I put on the game, then it's just another piece of the puzzle for me. But I mean, on paper I would say, yeah, it's a 2-point game, but I agree with you. I think Sam Houston, this has got to be the spot for them to get their first win of the season at home. At least, and if they should be able to get it done by a field goal, I presume. But the number's low. I'm still showing some value in the under here. But like I said, the sharper money is on the under. I know people are on the over, but I'm showing about 4-point differential towards the under here. So I lean under, and I lean Sam Houston.
Yeah, no, I get it. I absolutely get it. And when we take another look at, I expected to be on Sam Houston the whole time. It's now that the cold feet has come in, just because I can't understand with all the money on Sam Houston how once it got to 3.5, it went back to 3. It just it doesn't make sense. UTEP. That first game, without Gavin Hardison was really the FIU game. And, what happened was Cade McConnell, looked good. Then look good. They moved the ball. And then last week, his second game, he made mistakes. He's coming off the win. That happens so much for a kid's, second full start. So I think he's better here. But I would want Sam Houston badly. And you remember when we broke down the Sam Houston Jacksonville State game, I ended up moving on on Sam Houston just because the line didn't make any sense to me. And I don't want at this point, you know what? I've got some sort of strange affinity with Sam Houston Bearkats. I kind of like them. I think that they're better than their numbers show. And if you're looking at them from their year-long stats, I mean, we know that they're better in conference. And I want them to win their first game. But at this point, I think that the Jacksonville State team total under is the most appealing spot to me on the board. A road game where they just want to, get in and get out. And the fact that the total's gone from 44 to 49 and the spread's gone from, 7.5 to 8 to 9 means that I'm getting a much, much better number than what was available before. And it still kind of fits in what I would want to do. So at this point, I'm just Jacksonville State team total under 30.5. I'm not moving on the UTEP Sam Houston game. Are you moving on the UTEP Sam Houston game?
No, I'm going to be off. I'll be off both of these tonight.
Shout out to Razor Sharp Picks. He's just dropped his full Parks card. Thank you so much, Razor. I know how much work you put into all of that. Razor Sharp Picks about to head out to Los Angeles next weekend for the Breeders' Cup. Let's copy and paste his Parks card. Dabby Cab in the house as well. Ronnie and Burgess says all my books have 3.5. Yeah, they're all back at 3.5.
Yeah.
That's not the issue. Is why did they move? For me, the issue is why did they move in the first place? That's all. Why did they move in the first place? So this opened up at 6:13 p.m. on Sunday at 3.5, and 14 hours later it was 3. It stayed 3 for a few hours, went to 3.5. Then it was 3.5 for a day and a half, and they brought it down to 3 again. And it was at 3 for 24 hours. And I can't explain why that would have happened. And if I can't explain why that would have happened, I don't want. I don't care that it's back at 3.5. But why did they again want more money coming in on Sam Houston when they already had 84% of the cash? I mean, money's always been bet on Sam Houston. So why would they have brought it back to 3 to get even more money on them? That's all. That's all I'm saying. So I'm going to stay off of it, even though I wanted Sam Houston to begin with. But I'm on Jacksonville State team total under 30.5. It is time for us now to move on to our college football best bets. We've only done this once with the Big Ragoo, and he went 2-0-1. Nary a loss on his board in his first best bets video with me. So let's keep that streak going, Doc, and let's get right to work. Big Ragoo has picked out 5 games that he is betting, while I have 2. I'm going to bookend this segment. So I have the first game, and I have the last game. My first game, before it jumps out on the board, is something that happened to me 2 weeks ago. I wanted to include a game that wasn't on Saturday in my best bets, but I thought, no, let's just wait for the day of. By the time the day of came, the line had moved in the direction that I had bet, and it was a worse line, and it's still cashed, and it wasn't part of my best bets video. So I start with Friday action. 7:30 p.m. Eastern, Florida Atlantic Owls 3-4, 2-1 in the American at Charlotte 49ers 2-5, 1-2 in the American, Jerry Richardson Stadium in Charlotte, North Carolina. And I think at this point that everybody knows here that I think Biff Poggi is going to change everything in Charlotte. I believe in him very much. And this defense is really good. And they had guys transfer over from Power 5 schools to play for Biff. And this school and this team is going to get better and better and better. Now, if I had just taken them on the money line as well last week, it would have been a hugely profitable week. They covered as 6.5 or 6-point dogs at East Carolina. Look, I know East Carolina is trash, but you have to start somewhere. And Charlotte got their first win against FBS competition, and I think that they play very well here down the stretch, or as well as they're capable of playing. Let's get into the line history here. This is Friday night action. So when Bobano is here on Friday, we'll talk about this spot, but I will have already moved on it. This opened up with Charlotte as 5.5-point dogs. They're now 4-point dogs. We've had a 1.5 move towards them. From a total standpoint here, it's low. It's at 41, and Charlotte's been playing very low-scoring games. It's opened up at 42, and it dropped to 41. They're coming off that 10-7 victory at East Carolina. We go over to the cash flow for the Friday nighter. On the total, it's interesting because you have 21% of the tickets on the over and 38% of the cash. So you do have some bigger bets on the over, but this total has dropped a point. From the spread situation here, you have 93% of the tickets and 96% of the cash on Florida Atlantic. An enormous amount of money is on Florida Atlantic. And yet the book said, oh, you like FAU? Well, here, we'll drop it a 1.5. We want all of your Florida Atlantic cash. Here we go. Florida Atlantic comes in off a 36-10 loss at home to UTSA's 2.5-point dogs. So Daniel Richardson is taking over at quarterback for Casey Thompson. Casey Thompson suffered the torn ACL. Richardson is okay, but, same amount of TDs as picks. I mean, it's not good. Now, against South Florida, where they put up 56 points, he threw for 382 yards and 3 touchdowns. Against UTSA, he finished with 142 yards and 2 interceptions. And it's because it's easy against South Florida. It's tough against a good defense, and Charlotte has a good defense. Florida Atlantic also has lost outright in 5 of their last 6 road games as a favorite. As a favorite, they've lost outright in 5 of their last 6 road games. Charlotte comes in off their first win against FBS competition this year. 10-7 victory, East Carolina, 6.5-point dogs. You could say, look, they're going to come back to earth or anything. No, it's not that. I mean, they won. They scored 10 points. They won. All that changes is the feeling in the room. These guys are going to start believing in Biff and start believing in each other. Jalen Jones, also 11-17 for 144 yards, but he ran 24 times for 120 yards and a touchdown. The 49ers are so good against the pass. 32nd in EPA against the pass. We talked already about the Power 5 transfers. Daniel Richardson is going to try to beat you through the air, and Charlotte will stop that from happening. All this money on Florida Atlantic, all this money, and the lines moved a 1.5 to Charlotte. Give me the Charlotte 49ers at +4. Take it away for us here, Doc. What do you think of my first spot on the board? Charlotte 49ers at home, Jerry Richardson Stadium in Charlotte.
I think it was a great breakdown, number one. Charlotte's defense is for real. I mean, up and down the board they played. They played the Gators. They played Navy. They played, weak teams. They played strong teams. And each one of those games, the numbers, even though they haven't come out on the top side of the scoreboard, they've had some defensive wins on the field against, some quality opponents. And FIU, who's averaging about 24 points a game. FIU is kind of a school that, like, coaches come back to kind of resurrect their careers. We've seen it. I mean, Stellenberger, he's an OG. Miami folklore. The guy did what he did down in Miami, kind of put them back on the map. Then you had Lane Kiffin that came over there. Now they got Tom Herman. So they draw the quality coaches to try to, as a stepping stone, to kind of either stepping down or trying to step back up in their career. So they've got some things going on. They have a ton of issues, but it's a team that's not offensively. They can put things together, I think. But yeah, I'm with you on that, Charlotte. How about this? What do you think about the under here? Because I think I can see this game playing out to like a 2017 type game. A lower one score, type game where they kind of cover and still the game goes under here. I mean, Charlotte gets the cover. So I like the Charlotte look. I haven't made an official play here, but I heavily lean towards the under here. I think if I get there, it'll probably be with the under because of Charlotte's defense and what they present. And then, that it's a scary number too, because you're not getting a ton of points, but I get that, I get that too with the way Charlotte plays their games and the way FSU kind of goes about their business offensively. So I think it's going to be a tight game, and I like the under here. You can make that official for me. I'll be on the under 41.
Let's get that under. What's kept me off of the under is just that we've watched the last 2 games for Charlotte, and in the last 2 games for Charlotte, 31 points combined have been scored. And it's just been so low scoring. And that for me to expect
that ready for an operation, a high scoring type game.
Well, just for me to expect that to happen a third time that's where I kind of get burnt. But the Florida Atlantic team total under would correlate for me with the way I see this game going. It's not that I don't like the under. It's just for whatever reason, when 2 extremely low scoring games go back to back and I expect it to continue, it just doesn't always work that way. But it makes perfect sense, the under here.
Well, I think I see a 22.5 and 23.5. So, but the under 23.5 is juiced pretty heavily.
Bavard has already moved this to 40.5. Pinnacle's hanging the 41 juiced, so they're close to a 40.5. But we can get this for you without juice. Different spots here. We have a 41 at minus 108 over at Heritage. So Ragoo is on the under 41 minus 108 over at Heritage. And so then for me, I'm going to look at FAU team total under to add to my action. But my action right now is on Charlotte plus 4 at minus 110. We move on to Big Ragoo's best bets here, and then I'll close up this segment with one more of mine. Let's get into it. 12 p.m. Eastern, Florida State Seminoles 7-0, 5-0 in the ACC at the Wake Forest Demon Deacons 4-3, 1-3 in the ACC. We're in Winston-Salem for this one. Let's get into the line history here for this big game. It pops off 12 p.m. Eastern action. First off, this total is sitting here at 51.5. It opened up at 53. So we have a 1.5 point drop on this one. Let's get into the spread here. The spread in this one, we have it at 20.5. Florida State minus 20.5. This opened up at 20. So it's moved a half point in FSU's direction. It got up to 21, but it's right back at 20.5. Razor Sharp, thank you for rolling with us, my man. Have a giant day today. So take a look at the cash flow here for Florida State, Wake Forest, and see what we are dealing with. Get there. Here we go. On the spread, you have 40% of the tickets on Wake and 50% of the cash. And from a total perspective, you have 45% of tickets, 65% of cash on the under. Florida State hits the road looking to continue their perfect season. They come off 3 straight home games and saw them win each one with ease. Started with a 39-17 win over Virginia Tech, before a 41-3 win over Syracuse. Last week, we saw them defeat Duke 38-20 as 14-point favorites. Now, that game changed drastically with an injury, and we'll talk about that when we talk about the Duke game. But here, Wake Forest comes in after snapping their 3-game losing streak with a 21-17 win at home over Pittsburgh as 3-point dogs. It was a funny game. They were outgained 414-323, and they lost the turnover battle 2-0. Somehow, they got the victory. Also, and this isn't as important, obviously, because it was in the days when Sam Hartman was quarterback, but they've won 3 straight against Florida State. And I don't know how they're going to do that here. Now, they have a good defense, allowing 22.1 points per game. It's pretty good. Wake Forest hasn't lost at home by more than 14 points all year. Florida State, and I would love you to touch on this, Doc, has had 2 early, meaning 12 p.m. Eastern kickoff games on the road this season, and they didn't look good in either.
Boston College, yeah.
Take it away, Doc. Florida State Seminoles, Wake Forest Demon Deacons, Big Ragoo's first best bet of the week.
If there's one team that cost me money against FSU when I was betting them, when I was on the FSU side, it's always been Wake Forest. And that we know they don't have Hartman no more, obviously. they've got a carousel of quarterbacks that they're trying to go back and forth between. I know what was the starter's name? He was the kid that got hurt. He might be back today, but either way, you know, they've had struggle at the quarterback positions. They've had, you know, some other issues going on, trying to come away with some W's. But last year when they played FSU, when FSU had a stretch of 3 games, they had to play Clemson, NC State, and Wake Forest. And I said, if they win 2 of those games, you know, they'll be a playoff contender. Well, they lost them all, which they should have beat. The only team that really they lost the NC State game, which they should have won. They lost the Clemson game, which they should have won. But they played Wake Forest, and Wake Forest kicked the shit out of them. So they got a little revenge on their mind. After that big game last week, you know, like I say, we'll touch on the Duke side. You know, they held the quarterback down. You know, he didn't. Leonard didn't have a lot going on. The run game was fantastic early on. I worry about Florida State coming out of the gates a little bit slow here. I think this has always been a game that they played, and I'm not much for going back. And I look at the 1-8, and you know all the different numbers. You know, history presents itself, but I'm more in tune with the coaching angles of current coaches and of course players and coaching styles of what we have here. But there is some history here with Wake's success against FSU. That there is, but I think the game plan for this game for FSU is not necessarily to go out and you know, open up the offense really, really strong. I think this is one, you know, even when Florida State has struggled, it's been the defenses that's kept them in the games, and then the offense takes off a little bit later. I see that happening today on this, or not today, Saturday, on this game too. You know, Florida State, they're 7-0, like you said. They're 5-2 ATS. And then usually when they cover a game, it goes over the total here. So I don't think they're going to cover this number. I really don't. But I do like the under here a lot better than I like the side, because I think defensively they're going to go on down and shut Wake down, and I think they're going to do enough to win the game. Can they cover the 20-21? Yeah, they can do it. But I still think the game has a good look to the under here. But I would push back on. I lean Wake with the points, but I definitely like the under 51. I already bet this game at 51.5. I think there's like 70% of the money is on the under, but like 40-something% of the tickets is on the over. I mean, excuse me, 44% of the tickets on the under, but like close to 70% of the money's on the under here. So I'm going to ride with the sharps on this side. I think the under is the play here. I think Florida State wins convincingly, but they don't have to do a lot to win this game. And they had the big game last week over the hump. Now they kind of line things up for the rest of the season. You know, with North Carolina, they're going to have to deal with them. Of course, Miami, and then you know, then it's on to the playoffs for them. But yeah, they're not going to lose this game, but I don't think they cover. But I like the under better. So put me on the under. I'm becoming Noli Nose here with the unders, under 51.5. Florida State, or whatever you get me, 50.
It's available, 51. Yeah, under 51.5, available -113 at Pinnacle. My numbers are a little different, you know, using Action Network. We're always going to get different numbers.
Yeah, what do you show for action on the
71% of the tickets on the under and 65% of the cash.
So you still got bigger tickets. Okay.
So there we go. That's on.
Well, that's when I bet it might have changed since then, so I haven't looked at it today.
There you go. We've got it locked in. Big Ragoo's first spot on the board here. Florida State, Seminoles, Wake Forest, Demon Deacons. You know, if
for that, Jimmy, I'm sorry.
-113.
113. Okay.
You know, if Florida State is sleepy at these 12 p.m. games for whatever reason on the road, and we know that Wake Forest defense is what's kind of kept them involved. I know they're just 1-3 in conference, but then the under is something that makes sense here.
We know Florida State's got weapons all over the field, you know, and just Jordan on a dime, he can flip a switch and take over a game, you know. But I don't think Travis, like I say, he'll run the offense and Fuller a scheme on defense. So just it's going to be, I think it's going to be a lower scoring game here.
Let's move on to the next spot on the board here for Big Ragoo. 3:30 p.m. Eastern. Pittsburgh Panthers 2-5 at Notre Dame Fighting Irish 6-2. We're at Notre Dame Stadium. 51 Fahrenheit, partly cloudy, 8 miles per hour. Let's get into the line history here for this one. We'll start with this total. This total has dropped. It opened up at Pinnacle at 46.5. It's now at 44.5. So we have a 2-point drop, and it is juiced to the under as well. So we'll start there with the total. Let's get into the spread then here for this spot at 3:30 p.m. We're sitting with another almost identical spread here at 20.5 for Notre Dame. Difference here is they opened up at 19. Now, the first thing was it dropped to 18.5. The first move was towards the Panthers, but then it's come back on Notre Dame. So we have a move towards Notre Dame, and we have a move towards the under. Let's get into it here at 3:30 and see where the cash lies on this one. We have 42% of the tickets and 71% of the cash on that under. Looks like sharp action on the under. It's dropped as well. And then we have 65% of the tickets and 76% of cash on Notre Dame. Wine Time Sports moved on the under 45 at -110. Primetime 99 has the World Series ticket alive for the Snakes. Man, that's exciting. Nice job. So here we go. Pittsburgh's lost 5 of 6 against FBS competition this year. They couldn't follow up that surprise 38-21 win at home over then number 14 ranked Louisville as 7-point dogs. We're going to talk about that spot as well further into this card. They were outgained 430-288, but pulled out the double-digit win. They followed that up with a 21-17 loss at Wake Forest last week as 3-point favorites. Notre Dame comes in off a big 48-20 win at home over USC as 3-point favorites. Sam Hartman looks very good. 18 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. And Notre Dame has been covering against ACC teams. They have covered 10 of their last 11 against opponents from the ACC. Take it away for us here, Doc. Pittsburgh, Notre Dame.
It's an interesting matchup. We know it's going to be a struggle for Pittsburgh to put a ton of points up against Notre Dame here. And obviously with the big number too, and underlook type game, very similar look to the game we just talked about it, right? But Notre Dame offensively, very solid ball club. You know what they do. We know what Notre Dame is all about and what they accomplish on the field with Freeman and his defense, and then Hartman. When he gets rolling, he's going to be hard to stop too. So they got it going on both sides of the ball. But the history here, Pittsburgh, I think the last 4 they're like 3-0-1 against the number with this and their last 4 3-0-1, and but the Irish, they're tough, man. I don't want to go up against them. I think there's a little angle here though that they come in the big play, and I've had some luck when I've looked at these low team totals, and you get another one here with Pittsburgh here. I think it's sitting at 9. I could see them putting 10 points in this game. It's a lower total. Does Notre Dame shut them down completely? I don't think so. I don't think they blank them. I think if we go back, let me look at some history on this matchup here with the Notre Dame, and let's see the last few times they played. So yeah, they got blank last year. The last time they played last year, they got beat 45-3, and then a year or two before that, they lost 40-19. And then it seems like they're playing like every other year, basically. But this is not one of Pittsburgh's better offensive teams this year either, by the way. So, but I think they're good enough to put the doubles up here, to get them over that 9. I was looking for like a cheap play, with a low total, and this was the one I came up with. So I got Pittsburgh over 9 points team total. Are you muted?
Thank you. Sorry, there's some noise here outside. It's a very interesting look, very, very interesting look, which makes a ton of sense. I'm just going to grab it here over. Oh, wow. I got much higher here. Got this, but it's 13.5, but it's heavily juiced to the under, and they're not giving options. Where do you have a 9 right now?
Let's see.
Let's get this.
Let me pull it back up, Jimmy. I'm sorry, buddy.
Oh, it's all good. All good. See what we're going to be offered here.
Mine's moved to 10.5 now. So,
wow, look at that. The over 9.5 is -230 here at 365.
Yeah. Well, you know what? anyways, I'm showing 10.5 and 11s now. 11, so
Nice
I'll
job.
still stay with it. I'll go. I got DraftKings got 10.5. If you can beat that,
No, I
I'll
can't.
still go with the 10.5.
And what's the juice?
I'm not happy about it, but I'll do it.
What's the
I
juice?
capped it that way, so I gotta stay with it. I bet at 9 earlier, so it's
Wow, what a move getting it at 9. My goodness, you crushed the line move. What is the juice right now at 10.5?
It's let's see, it's minus 115.
-1. What a job! Can you imagine beating a market move quite like that? Right now, that 9.5 is minus 230, and he got it a regular at 9. Great job. Panthers team total over for Ragoo. Let's move on to the next spot on the board. 3:30 p.m. Eastern. The number 20 ranked Duke Blue Devils, 5-2, 2-1 in the ACC. At the now number 18 ranked Louisville Cardinals, 6-1, 3-1 in the ACC. Cardinal Stadium in Louisville, Kentucky. 69 Fahrenheit, cloudy here in Louisville. It's raining earlier. It's supposed to stop raining for this. Let's get into the line history here for this one. Here, sorry, I probably should have had this set up. We're sitting here with Louisville as 4-point favorites. 4-point favorites, and there's been no movement. They opened up at minus 108. At first, about 8 hours into it, it moved to minus 113, but it's come back to minus 110. So it's -4 at minus 110. Let's get over to the total then for this one. And we have it sitting at 46. 46 opened up at 47. It's dropped a point to 46. Let's get into the cash flow then for this one. We have on the side 55% of the tickets and 59% of the cash on Louisville. Again, we've had no movement on it. And from a total perspective, 25% of the tickets on the under, but 75% of the cash. So sharp move on that under. Duke comes in off its second loss in 3 games, 38-20 at Florida State as 14-point dogs. And the biggest question for this one is Riley Leonard. He left in the third quarter of his first game back from a high ankle sprain last week, and they fell apart. The Blue Devils offense just completely fell apart. So he's day-to-day with this ankle injury, and this is a big key to the script here. Louisville comes in off their bye week, an angry group. Last seen suffering their first loss of the season, 38-21 at Pittsburgh, a 7-point favorites. Now, the ACC championship game is still within reach, but that was a costly loss. Take it away for us here, Doc. Duke, Louisville at Cardinal Stadium.
This is all about a Louisville spot for me, guys, right here. Like you said, coming off that loss of Pittsburgh, what we just talked about, and then them getting beat up by Florida State. We'll see if they pick themselves off the ground here, and they're sitting 6-1. Louisville is. They're in a good spot. I mean, as far as ATS goes, I think they're 3-4 in the year. They're 3-1 in conference. So this is a big game. Not so much for the ACC championship because we know FSU is going to put it in cruise control. But Louisville's been one of those early ACC teams that's racked up a lot of quality wins, and they got a good defense. Like we talked about Notre Dame's defense, and Duke playing another tough spot here, another good defense. I think they're averaging right around 2 takeaways a game. They're like top 25 and third downs. They've got the number 1 home field advantage, college rankings. They top out the charts at number 1 for home field and FBS. There's a lot of good quality stuff here. And we know what Duke does. Duke does a lot of things well. But the question marks with Leonard and how solid these guys are, on defense, all around and offensively, I think they can match up pretty good with Duke, but what's going to happen Duke offensively, with Leonard is going to be the big question, because if they go with the freshman, they're going to be in big trouble here. So that's the question mark. So I capped it, even though I capped it like if Leonard plays, he's not going to be 100% in my book. All it's going to take is one little nick for him to get dinged up. But, Louisville's numbers are strong enough here to, they're favored by 4. I don't think it's one of these games where you look at a team, certain teams pick themselves up, dust themselves off, and move forward. More times than not in college, that doesn't happen. We've seen it with USC last week. We've seen it over and over again. I think it's another one of those spots here. So I think I'm going to be on Louisville. Even my numbers line up with Duke, and a lot of that's, correlated through what's been going on throughout the season. But this is when I pumped the brakes on my numbers, and I said, you know what? Put me on Louisville. I'll lay the 4 here.
Louisville -4. Now, Riley Leonard wanted to come back in that Florida State game.
Yeah, I know.
He was trying to come back in, so he's going to try to play here, but he didn't look that good in the game when he was in, and you are absolutely right with the idea that,
I mean, his QBR numbers weren't great. I mean, the game flipped the switch because that's how bad the backup was. Riley they were able to run the ball effectively early on against FSU, but in the third quarter, when things went south for them, it was just a matter of time before, they took over the game. But that exasperated the whole situation. I think Louisville is good enough here. That's a quality football team. I like what they got going on there, and they're coached up well. A lot of good athletes on that squad.
And they're an angry group sitting there.
Angry, and they're coming off the bye with the loss. So,
that's sitting there in that 2 weeks of pain.
Right.
Yeah, no, I
that's my favorite play of the games I'm giving you today.
Louisville -4, the favorite play of Big Ragoo's best bets. Let's roll on to the next spot on the board. 3:30 p.m. Eastern. Iowa State Cyclones 4-3, 3-1 in the Big 12 at Baylor Bears 3-4, 2-2 in the Big 12. Let's get into the line history here for this one. We have Baylor as very short dog here. The crazy thing about this spot was that they opened up as favorites. So we've had a flip, and it's not just a small flip. Baylor opened at -2 at Pinnacle, and 47 minutes later, they were +1.5. And that's so somebody came in and bet, Iowa State at that plus line huge. Well, it couldn't be too huge because, they have limits on it, but someone that they respected and flipped the script immediately. Went to -1.5, went to -2. Now it's -2.5. And that -2.5 is juiced to -113. So as a book, Pinnacle is sitting here and they rarely show their hand. They're begging, it feels like, for Baylor cash. Let's get into the total here for this one. Again, this game pops off at 3:30. We have it sitting at 47.5, and it opened up at 47. So we have a half-point move towards the over. And let's get into the cash flow for this one. We have, look at this, man. 9. So there's only 3,159 tickets in. Rarely do you see a +2 go to -2.5 unless there's a player personnel injury issue. 98% of the tickets and 98% of the cash is on Iowa State. And the books are doing whatever they can to get some Baylor money to come in. Rarely we see this. From a total side of things, we get no information. Nothing here for whatever reason. So Iowa State comes in off of its bye week. Both teams come in off recently playing Cincinnati. Iowa State won its second straight game, 30-10 at Cincinnati before their bye week. They were 4-point favorites in that spot. Or excuse me, they're 4-point dogs. What am I saying? They were 4-point dogs in that spot. They held Cincy to just 214 yards. Baylor comes in off just squeaking past Cincinnati on the road last week, 32-29 as 2.5-point dogs. We're in Waco, Texas for this one. Ragoo, take it away. Cyclones, Bears, and Big 12 action.
Big market move in this game, without a doubt. I know, the thing with the Baylor's been zigzagging since they took the first. They lost to Texas State early on, right? Then they lost to Utah, and then they beat they had a cupcake with the Long Island. Not even worth talking about. Texas, they lost and they beat UCF in a thriller. And then Texas Tech, they lost and they come back and they beat Cincinnati. So this team's been zigzagging, after the first couple. Iowa State, they do what they do under Campbell. I'm surprised Campbell is still coaching there. He's a good coach for the program. They love him there. And Ames, they're not one of my favorite teams to back because they always seem to play in these close games. no matter what. Especially when they're in these conference games and they get these knuckle drag type football games. But this year they've been a little bit different though. They've they got shelled by Oklahoma. They won their last two against a good TCU squad, and then the same Cincinnati team. Convincing when they're 30-10. I'm going to push back on this one a little bit. I know, like you said, Pinnacle's begging for some money to come their way. I think they've kind of turned the corner a little bit though. I think this is a game where it's not going to benefit Iowa to be involved in a higher scored game. Normally, I would say that for their squad, but I think they're going to have to match up with Baylor here. I think there's going to be points here. I lean over a little bit, even though it's a kind of a lower. They got it pegged at 47 or actually 47.5. So I kind of lean towards the under a little bit here, but I think it's going to be a tighter game. But my numbers have Baylor covering by 4 points here, so I'm going to go against the market. I'm going to push back a little bit. I think Baylor comes out with the win, even though they've shown some vulnerability. But I think they continue that same pattern here, and I'm going to push against the Sharps. I'm going to push against the public, whoever the hell's on them. I'm going to take Baylor on a money line play here.
On a money line play as well. Wow. Okay, yeah. Let's see what we can get you, because we could also get you a +3 in this game now. So it's,
double up. I'm going to double up on this, even though it's not my favorite game. I don't like doubling up, but I'm going to double up on this one. I'm going to just take the insurance because I know, like I said, in past, not this year so much, but I know Campbell's played some tight games. When it's come up, like when they play like Baylor's and they play the West Virginias of the world, they play tight. They didn't play tight against Cincinnati or TCU. They won those games convincingly, but I think they're getting a little too much love right now off of those games as dogs, as outright winners. So they made him the favorite. It's a lot of steam money. I think we pumped the brakes on that. I think it's too many people, too much love is given to Iowa State here. And I think Baylor comes away with the W. So, you know what? Don't give me the 3. Just give me the money line. I don't want to double up. Just give me the money line.
Baylor +120. It's +115 over at Bookmaker. Thank you, Billy Friedrich. And +120 available here. BT says it's our homecoming, but it doesn't matter. My Bears are junior varsity. But Andre says wrong team favorite.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Wrong team. Exact. I was going to use those exact words. Wrong team favorite.
Billy Friedrich says Iowa State going to shut down the Bears passing game. He likes Iowa State laying anything under a touchdown. So we have both sides of the map because Wine Time Sports is with you on Baylor +115. All right, Baylor +120 available right now at Bet Online. Great to see you, Jacqueline. Let's move on to the final spot for the Big Ragoo, and that's over in Brooks Stadium, South Carolina, in Conway. Marshall Thundering Herd 4-3, 1-2 in the Sun Belt at the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers here in Sunbelt action. Let's get into the line history. And of course, the big story for this one is Grayson McCall. So he is hurt at this point. So we'll talk it. We'll talk it all out and see what the thoughts are and look at the line history and then make decisions whether we think the market's telling us that there's a chance that Grayson could be back in the lineup. This one starts at 6 p.m. Eastern, and we have Coastal Carolina sitting as 4-point dogs. 4-point dogs. They opened up at +3.5 and quickly moved to 4.5. That was deemed too much, dropped back down to 4 where it has stayed. And right now the -4 for Marshall is juiced. Let's get into the total here for this one. And we have, here we go. We have the sitting at 45. It opened up at 48. Drop down to 45, which is where we are right now, slightly juiced to the under. Get into the cash flow there. Elliott V in the house. What up, Elliott? 6 p.m. action here. We have 67% of the tickets, 70% of cash on the under. Market moving in that direction. And then we have 35% of the tickets, but 53% of the cash on the Thundering Herd. Wine Time is on Marshall -4. Says this Coastal team isn't that good, and if Gray doesn't start, their offense is going to be bad. Marshall comes in off its third straight loss, 20-9 at home to James Madison's 5-point favorites. And we know what James Madison's doing this year. It's pretty special. Coastal Carolina comes in off its second straight win, 27-17 at Arkansas State as 8.5-point favorites. And now we have Grayson McCall. So he took a huge hit against Arkansas State. He was carted off the field, but he's doing fine. Overnight stay at the hospital. And we don't know. I mean, the market's telling us he's not going to be there. The market telling us that backup quarterback Jarrett Guest will be under center. And we have seen him. We saw him in last season's bowl game that lost East Carolina. So, this isn't just a complete unknown. Take it away for us here, Doc. Marshall, thundering herd at Coastal Carolina.
Yeah, that's the caveat for this game is, Grayson playing in the game. I mean, he's the X factor for me. He's the guy that makes that machine go. We've seen Marshall. Marshall has been a team that always stymied me over the years, and it might stymie me again here. But I know it's supposed to be an official play for me on the show. But I'm going to put the asterisk by this one here, guys. If we get no McCall, then it's going to be a game time bet for me. But I'm going to give it the play on the show because it is what it is. So I'm going to assume, with the hit and, he did get dinged up in that Arkansas State game. But if he goes, I'm going to make an official play. I'll put out the tweet, for that one. But I think it's going to be a lower scoring game too. I think there's going to be points. Maybe. Let me see what my numbers. My numbers have me about 3 or 4 points better on the total. So yeah, I'll definitely be on the under on this one. So, but then I'm going to make that an official play here, the under on this spot here. But if McCall goes, I'll probably come back with taking them as an underdog too at the +3 to make that official. But for show purposes today, with the question marks with him, I like the under on the side here. I think even though both teams can score with the question mark him being gone, I'm going to be on the under here for the show purposes.
Let's lock in the under for Ragoo is under 45. Under 45 minus 108, and that is over at Heritage. So Ragoo,
what's the team total? What do you got for a team total right now on both of these squads?
Pull this up over at Pinnacle. So let's get move this over here. Team totals. This game pops off at 6. We have Marshall at 26.5, juiced heavily to the under, and very heavily juiced to the under. We have the 21.5 for Coastal Carolina, minus 138 to the under there.
Yeah, 21.5 Coastal. And Marshall's 27 and change, you
26.5.
What's it juiced to?
It's plus 105 to the over, minus 122 to the under.
Give me the Marshall under.
Marshall under 26.5. So Ragoo's on the under 45.
Matter of fact, change my play to the Marshall under 26.5 and then take me off the full game under. Put the Marshall under 26.5.
Locked in. Under 26.5 at minus 118. We have one more best bet here before we move on to NBA with Dutch Boy Fresh. We have Big Ragoo here for NCAA football best bets, and I get to drop mine here. 8 p.m. Eastern, we head over to the Pac-12. Washington State Cougars 4-3, 1-3 in conference. Arizona State Sun Devils 1-6, 0-4 in conference. We're at Mountain America Stadium, Tempe, Arizona. Let's get into the line history here for this one. This total, start there. This total sitting at 51.5, and that's where it opened. So we've had no movement on this total that's been out for 3 days. Let's get into the spread then for this one. Move over here. And for the point spread, we are sitting at 6. Well, it's actually now at 5.5. I bet this at 6. It's at 5.5. The first move was towards Washington State. It was a half-point move. It happened about 12 hours after the line came out. And then about 32 hours after that, it moved a full point towards Arizona State, which is where it is right now, 5.5. Pinnacle's the lone book at 5.5. The other books are at 6. Wine Time Sports says what happened to Cam Ward. Says this guy looks like the best player in college football the first 4 weeks. Well, he looked pretty good in his last start, but let's go over the cash flow here for this one. We have Arizona State getting hammered right now. Now, there's only 2,292 tickets in, but they're getting hammered. 88% of the tickets and 92% of the cash. That makes me nervous. And then 75% of tickets, 80% cash is on the over. Washington State comes in off a tough 38-24 loss at Oregon as 19.5-point dogs. Both teams come off very, very tough road losses where they were probably looked past by the opponent and both covered in tough spots. So Washington State comes in off the tough 38-24 loss to Oregon, 19.5 points, dogs. And Cameron Ward looked good. He looked really good. And he was coming off that horrific situation at home versus Arizona when they got absolutely destroyed. Like 44-6, I think was the score there. But he went 34-48, 438 yards and touchdown, and it was a nice bounce back spot for him. On Arizona State, they have yet to beat FBS competition this year. But that was an impressive 15-7 loss at Washington as 28-point dogs. And I believe in Trenton Bourguet. I believe in him. So he looked. Now, he's throwing these very short passes, but he's throwing a ton of them. So they're able to move the clock and keep it down. But I believe in them here at Mountain American Stadium. We saw them last at Mountain American Stadium in a 27-24 loss to Colorado as 3-point dogs. But they outgained Colorado 392 to 295. It was just that the elite players on the field stepped up for Colorado when it mattered most. A Bourguet against Washington, 26-47. 196 yards. He did throw a pick. I believe in Arizona State, and I think that 6 points is too many. Wine Time says big letdown spot for Arizona State, it seems. Well, then I think this is a big letdown spot for Washington State as well, because that was very impressive what they did at Oregon. And it was the same, not holding Washington to 15 points, but I believe that a team that's not won in the Pac-12, a team that's going home can, and I love fading teams who are playing back-to-back road games. And Washington State threw everything at Oregon. They put all of their energy to battle Oregon. And now they have to play the worst team in the Pac-12. I think it's an uncomfortable spot for Washington State. And that's why I moved on Arizona State +6. Take it away for us here, Doc. The final spot on the board, little Pac-12 action. Take it away.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at an Arizona team at a home and away slot that they're -14, on the point differential. They're scoring Washington State scoring like 30 on average, where let's say Arizona's scoring like 16. I think we'll see a ton of offense yards here, whether it equates to score. What you think? If you had a lean, give me a lean on the total. What do you think about that? Would you say over or under? It doesn't equate to a lot of points, but a lot of yards. So it's because they're playing a tougher competition, lower tier teams here. But I don't know, 7 points seems like a pretty decent number, I would think, to get to. I think they're a touchdown better is what I'm saying. The 5.5. I would say anything to 7. I would definitely lean Washington State's way here. I think they have the better passing game. I think Arizona State, if I had to see defensively, I would give them the slight edge on the defensive side of the board. But offensively speaking, all day and night with Washington State here, I think that gets them over the hump, though. I think it should be a W for them. It's not an official play for me, but I definitely lean Washington State by a touchdown.
Makes me nervous. Cameron Raphael said Washington didn't give everything. They were down 21 the whole game. So the Arizona State gave everything. They were up the whole game on the road and lost on a pick 6. I've loved what I've seen from Arizona State in these last 2 games. I've loved it. And now they have a legitimate chance.
I mean, the defense steps up. That's where it's at for Arizona. They're going to have to hold it down defensively. Offensively, what's their offensive output the last 3 games, you said?
Well, they put up 24 at home versus Colorado, and then of course, they only put up 7 at Washington.
Yeah.
So
those are those are opposite ends of the spectrum defensively, what they faced on those 2 games there. But
well, Cam Raphael and Doc on Washington State. No one here in the chat on Arizona State but me. And,
you're a lone wolf.
I like these home dogs at this number very much. I like that Pinnacle's tipped its hand going through that 6. That's important to me. We have the NFL database from Troy Torrance, and those games that go through the 6 and the 5.5 are cashing at an alarming rate. So I like this. I like the spot. I think Arizona State can gain confidence.
They've lost their last 3: UCLA, Arizona, and Oregon. Handily on Washington, the Arizona game, and then one score against UCLA. But UCLA's defense is good too. They're really good. Oregon, yeah, that's not a bad effort by them getting 20 last out. So, but now they're favorites. So, like you said, so I don't hate your play. I like to say I lean that way, but
and for the total, I guess I would. If you like Washington State, then you would lean to the over, and if you like Arizona State, then you would lean to the under.
Yeah, I'd go that way. Yeah.
All right, there is our best bets. Let's do a quick review of Saturday best bets. Ragoo, I get it started on Friday, though, and I had to do it because I didn't do it last week, and it hurt me. I'm on Charlotte +4, and I'm going to be adding Florida Atlantic team total under. Ragoo is on the under 41 in that spot. Ragoo's on the under 51.5 in Florida State Wake Forest. He's on the over Pitt Panthers over 10.5, and he just gave that out to make it something that you guys can move on to, because he bet this at 9, and it's already gone to 10.5 at -115. Then he's on Louisville -4 at -110. I want to join him on that. I'd like to move on that spot there. Ragoo's on Baylor money line at +120, and he's on Marshall team total under 26.5. And I am on Arizona State +6. Arizona State +6 here. That is our college football best bets. Please follow our guy, Big Ragoo, on Twitter at Big Ragoo62. And Ragoo, hopefully you can be back in action with us on NFL Pub Hub this Sunday. Yeah. You are our leader out of 25.
I'll be from parts unknown when I call you Sunday. Call in, but I will be there. I'm going to go to a Sammy Hagar concert on Saturday evening in Clearwater. So I'll probably be poolside doing the show for you on Sunday.
Nice.
Rock and roll, baby.
I love it. I love it, Doc. Thank you so much for rolling with us. What a guy. Can we bring Doc up back for 1 second quick before we get an NBA? Jose, Doc, do you have any last words here for the Capper Sport in the show?
You guys know it's all love from me in horse country in Ocala. And then Kelly's turning 60 next week for Breeders' Cup weekend. So she's giving me the elbow that she wants to take a trip out west. But I want to hang with the guys out there. If I can sneak out for a day, I'm going to make it happen. But I might be in Nevada. I'll know Sunday if I'm going out west for sure. But anyways, I'll see you Sunday. Love to the chat. Let's get some money, guys.
There he is, the Big Ragoo, right here on Pub Sports Radio. It is time to move on to NBA, and we have a huge card here in NBA. We've already been given the stacks play of the day. It's Durant over 9.5 rebounds is the stacks play of the day. I'm going to pop that into the chat, but we are ready to rock here. There it is. There's the stacks play of the day. We have a monstrous card. So let's get all prepared and ready to rock. And let's start by bringing in the star of Wednesdays here on Betting with the Bag, our NBA coverage. We know we have these huge cards on Wednesday, and we have just the man for the job. So please welcome from Las Vegas, Nevada, Mr. Dutch Boy Fresh. Dutchy, what's good?
Bad.
There we go. There we go.
And all the real ones in Wi-Fi land, my guy. The NBA is a hell of a drug. And you're looking at the plug. Yeah, man. Good to be back with you, my guy.
It is great. It is like old times here. Day 2 of the NBA season. Let's start with what you saw last night. What stood out, and what are you thinking about moving forward from a gambling perspective on the teams we watched?
Well, unfortunately, it was kind of a rough night for me. Did go 0-2 in the props. Had Jamal Murray over 22.5. He finished with 21, and they called off that bucket. Should have been probably and one. They called off the fucking bucket, so that one was a little, salty. But overall, the Nuggets aren't as deep. Their bench looks a little bit light to me, but man, Joker's fucking good, huh?
What a pro.
I mean, fuck, he makes it look easy. He even looks in better shape too. So I think Jamal, kind of winning cruise control. I think he's even better coming back. Another year off that injury. I think Denver needs to make a couple moves. Reggie Jackson did look good off the bench, but other than that, I think the Lakers. AD was MIA that second half. Didn't see that coming. Honestly, I thought he played pretty well that first half, and then all of a sudden, just kind of dropped the bag there in the second half. I believe he was 0 for 6 and did not score from the field. LBJ, 29 minutes. I guess they're going to play him finally, like the minutes he probably should play at his age. So looking at that aspect, I think my second bet was a bad bet, I guess, and KD over 27.5 points. Motherfucker shot the ball 22 times. You shoot the ball that many times, you think you'd get it with KD. Missed 15 of those. The legs didn't look there for me with KD. A lot of shots short. Just kind of looked weak, fumbling the ball, turning it over. KD didn't look good, and they still go into Golden State and win. Pretty much led by Devin Booker. Nurkic looked good as well. I liked what I seen out of Phoenix, and I'm not too high on this Golden State team. I know they didn't have Draymond out there, but I'm not too high on Golden State, Jim. So kind of what I've expected from both games, but unfortunately dropped both props.
Well, it is a marathon, not a sprint, and you are 0-0 here on our
That's the
show.
good thing, right?
We will be tracking that all year long. So let's get right to work. Looking forward to hear everybody in the chat. So we have Dutch Boy Fresh here rolling with us on camera, and then we have so many great cappers here in the chat as well. So let's get after it, shall we? We start with the Atlanta Hawks at Charlotte Hornets Spectrum Center in Charlotte, North Carolina. We are sitting here right now with Charlotte as 3.5 point dogs, and that is juiced to Atlanta. This opened up with Atlanta -3 at -105, went down to 2.5, and now we're up to 3.5. So we have a slight road favorite in the Hawks. From a total perspective, we're sitting here at 236. This opened up at 235.5 and dropped all the way down to 233.5 before it got bet up to 237. So we've seen a U-shaped movement and a big market move there. Let's get over to the cash flow for this one. And NBA here, all markets. Let's go. So for this one, we have 75% of the tickets, 80% of the cash on the Atlanta Hawks. On the total, we have 56% of the tickets and 95% of the cash on the over. Saturated says Hawks never start the season strong. So here we go. Jarek White on Atlanta -4. Let's take a look at our lineups here. For Atlanta, we have Trae Young. We have Murray at the shooting guard. At the small forward, Hunter, Sadiq Bey at power forward, and Clint Capella at center. For Charlotte, LaMelo, Rozier, Hayward, Washington, and then Mark Williams at center. And it is time to hear how, and we don't have stats to start talking about, pace, and we don't have it's all about, sort of your gut and studying it from the offseason, which has worked great in NHL and can work great here. So let's roll. Take it away for us here, Dutch. Hawks, Hornets.
Yeah, man, not a game I have action on, but we'll give you a little bit here. Obviously, John Collins not being there. They moved on from him. Probably could say that's a good thing in Atlanta. Quinn Snyder having a full off season to prepare with the studded backcourt, of Trae Young and Dejounte Murray. But I don't know if it's the best fit. I talked about this last year. Not too high on Atlanta overall last year, and they kind of the same damn team. Realistically, I don't like Sadiq Bey. I, as your 4, I mean, that seems pretty light to me. I know Capella can, do one hell of a rebounding in his lobby, but he's not too heavy. He's a little light as well. So I do believe Mark Williams, should be able to kind of bully around there, especially on the boards a little bit. I give the edge here. I mean, the Hornets beat them twice last year, beat them twice the last 2 meetings last year. Atlanta's a team, if you fuck with me, I don't back them on the road. So I wouldn't start off my season, especially right here on betting with the bag, laying, points with Atlanta on the road. Are they the better team than Charlotte? Probably. I do think Snyder will have these boys playing a little bit better basketball. Say what you will about Trae Young, but he does have his moments. I don't know. LaMelo had one hell of a year last year. I mean, you look at the stats. I mean, he loaded at 24, I believe, 8 and 6. I mean, it's ridiculous what he's done. I think he'll shine as well. So you could probably look at points, rebounds, and assists from his aspect if you want to really dig into this game. But I think the look here has to be the over. I mean, the last 2 meetings, both of these guys got over the 240s. I mean, the last meeting they scored 180 fucking points, So I don't see much defense from any side, to be quite honest with you. No real paint protection on either side. So I believe both guards, both backcourts should get off here. And I would look for this to be a close basketball game. Lean the points, lean a little bit heavier on the over. And LaMelo Ball, points, rebounds, and assists got to be something.
Yeah, and we're a very, very public side in Atlanta, first road game of the year. So, these bottom feeders like the Hornets, they have hope. Game 1 of the season, be a full building. Does feel like a spot where I'd have interest, fading the public here on the Hornets, but I'm not sure if I move on it. But at this point, and then if you have any interest in the Hornets, there's no reason to bet it now. It looks like we're going to get to a 4. Right now, if you wanted the Hornets a plus 3.5, you get that with no vig over at Pinnacle. So it looks like a 4 is possible. At what point, at what number, Dutch, would you say you would find the Hornets appealing?
Probably 4.5. I mean, I can't lie. They're a little appealing to me right now, but with 13-game card, there's no reason, And I do want to see how, one full offseason with Snyder, because I do believe he's a solid coach. What he's going to do with this backcourt, as I mentioned, is extremely talented, but not the best of fits with Trae Young and Murray.
Ski Prophet making an important point, saying public doesn't matter to start the season, in his opinion, just like the NFL. And no, Sammy, the public's never on Charlotte. I don't know if that's happened.
Yeah, I think you probably need the 4 and the hooker to go to the window with the Hornets.
Let's move on to the second game on the board. 7 p.m. Eastern, Washington Wizards at Indiana Pacers. We're at Gamebridge Fieldhouse in Indianapolis, Indiana. We have Indiana sitting here as 5-point favorites. They opened up at 7.5. So we've had a big move towards the Wizards all the way down to 5s. We have 5s across the board. Getting to the total here for this one, we're sitting at 235.5. Opened up at 233.5. So we have a 2-point move towards the over. Then let's see what we are dealing with cash flow wise. 72% of the tickets, 74% of the cash on the Indiana Pacers. So it's a pretty legit move to the Wizards with the, not very much cash. We're talking about 35,462 tickets as well. From a total side of things, you have 29% of the tickets and 61% of cash on the over, and it's clearly moving in that direction. For the Wiz, the expected starting 5, Tyus Jones, Jordan Poole, Avdia, Kuzma, and Gafford. And for the Pacers, Halliburton, Mathurin, Bruce Brown, Obi Toppin, and Miles Turner. Take it away for us here, Dutchie. Wizards, Pacers.
Yeah, this game to me does scream over. I mean, our guy Ski the Prophet liking the over here. Shout out to him. I look at the over here as well. I didn't go to the window on this. I was actually looking at a Jordan Poole prop. I mean, I think Jordan Poole's going to have ultra green light. I mean, he averaged 20 points per game last year with the motherfucking Warriors, with all them boys. And now, I think he's really going to be just lights out. I don't want to say lights out, but I definitely believe he'll be shooting an awful lot of threes and going to the hole an awful lot. He's a talented dude, but it's at 24.5. It's a little juiced. I have been, obviously betting the props. They are smaller bets than me than the sides and totals, but the Pacers, they allowed 120 points per game last year, so their bottom and defense, I don't think they did anything to really improve their defense. You just mentioned their starting lineup, and really outside of, Miles Turner, as a shot blocker, outside of that, really nothing to really scare you there. And on the other side, we know the Wizards are just going to simply, it's kind of your turn basketball, in my opinion, over there with Washington. So the over, haven't bet it yet. I do have, 5-6 plays on today. I do think the over is a solid look, but yeah, I think Jordan Poole is going to have a season this year. So, if you're looking for props in this, 24.5 is just a little bit out of my range, and it was a little juicy too. But I believe he averages 25 plus easy this year.
We have Ski on the over 233.5. Polo this, Polo that has a parlay at plus 154. That's Pool 20 points, Pacers halftime and full-time money line. Wizards, Pacers at Gamebridge to start out the season. Let's move on to the next spot on the board. Boston Celtics at New York Knicks. We're at Madison Square Garden in New York. What? Oh, man. Talk about the mecca for this. For opening night of the season, Celtics, Knicks. It doesn't get better than that. Let's take a look at the spread here. Your Knicks are sitting at plus 3.5. They opened up at plus 2.5. So we have a 1-point move over to the Celtics. From a total side of things, we are looking at a 223.5. This opened up right there at 223.5. It dropped to 222.5, went up to 224.5, and it's right back to 223.5. We have an 8-cent move towards the under. There's Nasty Nate with his Clovers here for his squad, starting out the year with a ton of hope. And Drew Holiday, I love that. KP, I don't. 87% of the tickets. Oh, that's the money line. Excuse me. 86% of the tickets and 79% of the cash is on the Boston Celtics. We've seen a 1-point move in their direction. Then 56% of the tickets and 90% of the cash is on the under. 56 and 90. Harold Williams says Celtics first half. One of my bets so far. Von Polo also on the Celtics first half. Wine time on the other side. Knicks plus 3.5 and money line at plus 135. Says this Boston starting five looks like one of the best, but it's going to take them time to mesh. Sancho is on Celtics first half as well. So Robert Franklin also on the Celtics minus 3. So let's take a look here at the lineups for this one. Drew Holiday, Derek White, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and KP at center. For the Knicks, Brunson, Grimes, Barrett, Randall, and Robinson. And I expect the most we've ever seen from RJ Barrett this year, but I'm also have a bit of a bias for the kid. I was very proud watching him in a Canadian uniform in the summer, and I want him to succeed so badly. Take it away for us here, Dutch. Celtics, Knicks.
Yeah, man. Shout out to our boy One Time. I'm liking what he was talking. Might surprise some here, but I'm right with him. I'm on the Knicks plus 3.5, minus 105. I got it at. I think it will take a little bit of time for these Celtics to mesh. I do think Boston will be a better team than the Knicks overall, but I think the Knicks are going to be a better team in the regular season. Absolutely. They brought the same core back, and on the other side, you got the Celtics to touch on a little bit of to mesh. I mean, they lost 3 core players from last year, led by Marcus Smart. Obviously, the late trade here with Robert Williams and Malcolm Brogdon being moved. They bring in KP, who's he's a guy that is completely different than what they've had. And then, of course, the addition of Drew Holiday, which I think will be a lot easier to bring in. Still, that's 2 big pieces. That's your point guard and your big man, moving in there. And you lose your point guard and obviously Marcus Smart. And then it's kind of, is Derek White starting? Is he not? I think it's going to take them a little bit of time to figure it out. And the Knicks they know what they are. And they've been really good against the motherfucking Boston Celtics of late. They've won 3 straight against the Celtics. And Celtics have lost 4 out of last 5 in New York, and they're 3-6 straight up last 9 overall versus the New York Knicks. So something about Knickerbocker basketball, they play well against this Boston team. I know the Knicks first half a lot. We bet that a lot off, last couple years, but I'm going to stick to the full game here. I think overall, Josh Hart was a great midseason addition. They brought over DiVincenzo, but I think Jalen Brunson was the key. He's got another year in the system. They, another year with Thibodeau. Run the offense through Jalen Brunson. Julius Randle is not the best player on the team. Jalen Brunson is, so please allow it to be that. And I think the Knicks get out of, will handle business at the Garden and actually win this basketball game. Would I be surprised if Boston wins? I would not be. So that's why I'm going to take the 3.5 at -105. But I think it will take Boston a little bit of time. These are 2 big key pieces, and you lost some big pieces from last year. So I do think, the boys will be just fine over there in Boston. But I think New York wins this basketball game tonight. I'm also on Mitchell Robinson. Now, as I mentioned, my props are not as big as plays as my sides, but I know you track everything the same here. But I am on Mitchell Robinson over 8.5 rebounds, a little juicy at -125. But I think the edge here is inside. I think Randall can play a little bit of bully ball. I also think Mitchell Robinson will play big tonight. I'm not sold on KP down low. He'll have his moments. He'll hit some threes, but he's not a guy you want banging down fucking low. Absolutely not. Al Horford's only a year older. So I think they have their way inside. Mitchell Robinson over 8.5 rebounds, averaged 13.5 rebounds the last 2 meetings versus these boys. I think he gets double digits easy.
I like the breakdown a lot. I find it appealing. One of the things that immediately I think about is last year with the Raptors keeping that core together, we really thought we'd come out of the gate strong and we would defend, and that blew up in our face. But I've always thought that continuity works in the beginning of a season until the Raptors last year. Maybe just the Raptors just aren't that good. That's also a real possibility here. So Ski says, I think Porzingis going to keep Mitchell Robinson away from the rim and stretch the floor. What is your thought on Porzingis in a Celtics uniform? Do you think that he is the piece? Because, I think we all think Drew is, but do you think that Porzingis is as well?
Yeah, I think Drew's gonna be Drew. He's gonna make him probably the most elite perimeter defensive team in the league. When outside of maybe Brooklyn, when you look at Jaylen Brown and Drew Holiday, if you have them 2 in the backcourt. But I do think KP is the biggest piece, because if KP can be what I don't think he is, and that's, I guess, maybe what he was back in New York. Honestly, I don't think KP plays more than probably 50, 60 basketball games. If you're having him bang down low, he's going to have to be low. Someone got to fucking rebound. I guess they're just going to count on Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown to get all the rebounds. I think KP will have to be down there a little bit. But, yeah, I think it's bigger on KP because we know what we're going to get out of Drew. Drew's going to be Drew. We don't know what the fuck we're going to get out of KP, and that's why I don't like the move. You know what you're getting out of the Boston Celtics. Like, you had a team, and then you go get just a big-ass question mark. To me, it made absolutely no sense. I didn't like that they moved Marcus Smart in the deal, but then obviously you go upgrade with Drew fucking Holiday. So that worked out just fine. I love the Drew Holiday edition. I do not like the KP edition whatsoever. It probably will work out because there's so much talent overall as it still being a good team. But if we could talk about them competing against the elite teams in the East, like the Milwaukee Bucks, I don't think it's going to be too good on the Boston Celtics, in my opinion.
And Andrew Collier saying KP looking smooth in preseason. Nobody's concerned about that. What we're concerned about is he going to be on the floor in game 80? Yeah. That's the problem with Porzingis, is he just isn't durable. Now, when we give out lines that are available for people to bet while you're on, it's going to hurt you in the long run. But sometimes it does help. Okay, do you want the +4 at -113?
Yeah, I'll take that. I'll take that.
All right, we have a +4.
8 cents difference from when I got the.
Yeah, I like it. +4 -113. Mitchell Robinson.
It's gonna be a close basketball game, I think. I don't think either team runs away with it by any means. But I think the Knicks are super live to win this basketball game.
It's going to be a very, very fun ball game. Let's move on to the next spot on the board. 7 p.m. Eastern, Houston Rockets. Our guy, Fred VanVleet, at the Orlando Magic, Amway Center in Orlando, Florida. We already have heard from both Dennis Garcia, or Sky Dragon, as well as Dan Kelly. Both are on the Magic to win the division at 10-1 and 8-1, respectively. So let's move on to the line history here for Rockets Magic. These Magic are sitting at -4 right now. Opened up at -3, got up to -4.5, and have settled down at 4. Now that 4 is juiced, and the +4 for the Rockets is a plus money situation. Let's get into the cash flow here for this one. Rockets Magic, we have 64% of the tickets and 85% of the cash on the Orlando Magic. And then we have 28% of the tickets and 59% of the cash on the over. 28 and 59 on the over. Let's take a look at that over here. We have it sitting at 220.5, and it opened up at Pinnacle at 223. Opened up at 223 and just dropped all the way down to 220.5 here. So I'm going to move this over. And there is just one total on the board lower than this one right now. So take a look at VanVleet, Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, Jabari Smith, and Sengun is the 5 for the Rockets. Going to be fun to watch that group. And then for the Magic, Fultz, Suggs, Wagner, Banchero, and Carter. A very, very fun game full of young stars. Take it away here, Dutch. Do you see an angle or an edge in Rockets Magic?
This one I absolutely do not. I do think, I think Houston has a lot of questions. You said it. I think that they could be a pretty entertaining basketball team. They got a lot of talent over there. And then obviously my number one knock on them last year was they didn't have a point. I mean, they went and got a point. Fred VanVleet, not the best point guard in the league, but he's a point guard in the league. He can run the point. Obviously can spread the floor for him as well. I like the addition. From the Magic standpoint, I don't know. A lot of hype on Orlando. I mean, a lot of our guys like Orlando. I mean, I don't know. Somebody got to shoot the fucking basketball, man. They got all these guys that could attack the rim and play and make plays and shit, but not too many guys that can really just pull up and knock down an open jumper. Like, they got a couple, but I need to see it. So you said it. There's a reason why this is, one of the lower totals on the game, on the board today. I want to see Orlando play. I want to see Houston play. These are two teams I definitely want to see play. No action either way. I think they both have a ton of young talent, not as high as others on Orlando, simply because I don't believe they got shooters. And in the NBA, you can be as talented as you want, but you got to fucking make a basket. And I just don't see it from an Orlando Magic standpoint. So if I had to bet this game, I would probably take Houston with the 4.5. I believe you can get out there. I simply think that Houston has just as much talent as the Orlando Magic, especially from like an offensive standpoint, maybe more.
Yeah, a lot of love for the Magic here in the chat. And we have Billy Briz also believing in this Orlando Magic spot. Jeffrey Moore says, my Houston Rockets looking better than last year, but not saying much. Sky Dragon thinks this total seems high. No, I just want to do something quickly because I believe that this total was much higher even than the 223 opener over at Penny. So let's see what. And yes, Bet Online opened this up 3 days ago at 9:23 a.m. at 227.5. 227.5. And it dropped 3 points in 3 hours. My goodness. So at Bet Online, this total's dropped 7 points. A huge drop. Wine Time says, any chance is PSR going to do any live streams for NBA games this year? It would be really cool. It would be. We'd like to. And talking to having Dutch here as well on screen, something that needs to be talked about. Dutchy. All right, that was Rockets Magic, a huge drop in the total. Let's move on. 7:30 p.m. Eastern, we have the Cleveland Cavaliers at Brooklyn Nets. That's what's next up. Speaking of lower totals, this is one of them. Pinnacle opened this total. Oh, sorry. Here we go. Open this total at 220.5. It just dropped to 220. at 9:30 this morning. So we've dropped it down to 220, and that 220 is being juiced right now. Let's get into the spread here for this one. And we have it sitting with Brooklyn as 2-point home dogs. This opened up at plus 2.5, went down to 2, went down to 1. And it's back at 2 right now. It's very slightly juiced over to the Brooklyn side of things. Von Polo is on the Nets money line. Deshaun G is on the Nets money line. By the way, Ian Shaber just moved on Houston at plus 4.5. And KD, our guy Kadesh, saying Orlando should have the size to beat the Rockets. They're small in the power forward center position. Justin McElvey moved on the Hawks to win the division. Billy Briz in this one's on Mobley over 26.5 points and rebounds. Says, look at the depth of Cavs bigs. Him, Niang, Tristan Thompson, and Isaiah Mobley. Jarek White on the under 219.5. Let's take a look at where the cash is for this spot. We have 17% of the tickets and 36% of the cash on Brooklyn. And then we have 47% of the tickets and 94% of the cash on this under. Pull up the expected starting lineups here. We have Garland, Mitchell, but Garland is game time decision right now with Mitchell, Strus, Niang, and Mobley. Over for Brooklyn, Simmons, Ben Simmons to start the year, Dinwiddie, Bridges, Finney Smith, and Nick Claxton. Take it away for us here, Dutch Cavs, Brooklyn.
Yes, sir. I like this game an awful lot from an under perspective. I was looking at the Cavaliers, and I see Jared Allen's out, and I see, Garland's questionable. I like the additions of Strus and Niang, but I want Niang coming off the bench. I want Jared Allen starting with Mobley. So I like that look from our guy, Billy Briss, because Mobley should be doing an awful lot without having Jared Allen out there. And against the team in Brooklyn that, you got Claxton. He's undersized big man. He's good on the, he's good making plays on the defense. But mainly Mobley could definitely post that boy up, no problem. So I like the under here. I got it at 221.5 last night. 220 I tweeted out today because motherfucking X wouldn't work for me last night. But I like the under an awful lot here. You got two teams, two top 10 defenses from last year, two bottom 10 teams, two damn near bottom 10 teams in scoring from last year. And from a defensive perspective, I think the Brooklyn Nets might be the best defensive team in the league. Obviously it's the first game of the year to say it, but they got two of the top 3 to 4 elite perimeter defenders in the league, and Mikal Bridges, and obviously Ben Simmons. And not saying Ben Simmons is back where he was, because before, when he was in Philly, he might have been the best defender in the league. I believe he's top 3 to 4 defenders in the league when healthy. And obviously Mikal Bridges, you know what you're getting with him. And you got Dorian Finney-Smith, who's no slouch as well. And we talked about Claxton. Outside of Dinwiddie, you got 4 above average defenders and a couple elite dudes. So I think it's going to be hard to score. And say what you will, about Donovan Mitchell. He's not the biggest dude out there. So I think they're going to match up real well. You put Ben Simmons or Mikal Bridges on Spider, and it's going to be trouble for him. I think he's going to have a hard time. He's going to be shooting an awful lot of deep threes and tough shots. Same thing with Garland, not the biggest boy. So I think, they'll kind of swarm him. So you're swarming the two big guys. You're already outside of Jared Allen, so a lot on Mobley. I don't believe there'll be a ton of open shots for Strus and Niang. So a lot of man-on-man D. They won't really need no help with Mitchell. So I think Brooklyn will be able to contain these boys. I lean Brooklyn at the crib, but the under is the play. Like I mentioned, I got it in at 221.5. Give me the best number. I think this is an easy under here. And I also like Ben Simmons. That's right. I'm going Big Ben tonight. Rebounds and assists over 14.5, minus 113. He went over this number both times that he got extended minutes in the preseason, the last 2 games. He led the preseason in assists. He looks like he's back. But I believe he's one of the more talented all-around, well-rounded players when healthy. All right. And I'm staying away from scoring. We're not talking about score. We're talking about doing all the other little things, which I believe he'll do tonight. He'll load up the stat sheet. Over 14.5 rebounds and assists, minus 113. It's good money.
Over 14.5 and minus 113. I'm not as concerned about his body being healthy. It's
the mental.
Yeah.
I like what I hear from him. I like it. I like the chip. He said he's going to be better than he was. I like what I'm seeing out of him. I like the matchup against Cleveland. Who knows how long it'll last, but I believe we'll see, the old Ben Simmons from a couple years back.
For his sake, I hope that he can just play and just let go of all the stresses that come along with it.
But I agree with you there. Just show me that you care, and that's what I've kind of seen in some press conferences. His attitude a little bit on the court, because I was a Ben Simmons guy up until last year. I questioned that he cared about the game of basketball, and from what I'm seeing now, I honestly I think it's his show. I mean, he's the point. He's going to run it, and obviously Dinwiddie will have the ball in his hands, because that's just what he likes. But look for Ben Simmons to have a breakout year here. I think Shaq's a most improved player, player of the year. I'm liking what the big man's saying.
Dan Kelly took a flyer on Simmons to lead in assists this year, 90-1. 90-1. DG is on the under as well. I find your breakdown on the under very appealing, and I also want the Nets here. Again, we're talking about the continuity factor for some of these squads, and I know that Ben was not a part of it much, but Cleveland's going to have a different look, especially with Jared Allen out. So. And Dan Kelly saying that 90-1 still available on FanDuel. And for those of you that maybe don't know, Dan Kelly gave us out Wemby to lead league in blocks at 13-1. That's at plus 340 right now.
That's gangster.
Okay, so we have Dutch here is on the under 220.5, and he's on Simmons rebounds and assists over 14.5. So thus far of the card, I find the Hornets appealing once it gets to 4. I find the Knicks appealing if hopefully that gets to 4. And I find the Nets and the under here in Cleveland, Brooklyn very appealing. Let's move on to the next spot on the board. And Justin McElvey gets us rolling. Jalen Duren over 9.5 rebounds at plus 128 is the stacks play of the day. We have Detroit Pistons at Miami Heat, Kaseya Center in Miami, Florida. And we also heard from Dan Kelly that he moved on the Miami Heat to have under 41.5 wins at plus 170. Took the alternate number there. Very exciting bet from our guy Dan Kelly. Let's take a look at this one. Pistons Heat. Here we go. We have this total. So this is the lowest total on the board, 218.5. This opened up at 221.5. We have dropped 3 points from that total. That, of course, is a Pinnacle opener, not a Bet Online opener. And we know that they, Bet Online gets their action out the fastest. So that's, and then also don't forget, we have our poker tournament coming up Friday of Thanksgiving. We have a poker tournament where we're upping the stakes a little bit. We want to keep trying to up the stakes. And so we're going from 25 to now 50. It's going to be a $50 buy-in. We want to keep just raising the stakes, and hopefully people will still join us. That's 8 p.m. Eastern on the Friday of Thanksgiving. And don't forget our Bet Online hookup, 100% bonus. Up to $1,000, 100% bonus if it's a new account and you go through our website. Here we go. Pistons, Heat, Detroit, Miami. This is a huge spread. Miami sitting here at -9. So this is tied with the Clippers as the biggest spread on the board. This opened up at 8. We have a 1-point move towards them. We are now sitting at 9. Let's get into the cash flow for this one. Pistons, Heat. 62% of the tickets and 82% of the cash are on the Pistons, but the line's moving in the Heat's direction. 84% of the tickets and 99% of the cash is on the under. Take it away and let's take a look at the opening starting 5 here for this one. We have Cunningham, Ivy, Thompson, Stewart, and Jalen Duren. And then for the Heat, Hero, Caleb Martin, Jimmy Butler, Kevin Love, and Bam Bam. Take it away here, Pistons, Heat.
Yeah, man, this game, I'm a little, I think Miami's gonna have a little bit more chip on their shoulder than I think other people have after, what's going on with kind of how they really don't, what they said with the Dame, and then obviously them pretty much sneaking in, everyone talking they shouldn't have been in the finals. It was a pretty good run from them, but I don't know. They didn't do too much to reload, but I do think Tyler Hero is gonna be that guy. I really do. I think, got kind of raked through the coals all year. I think he's going to come out with a chip. I really do. I like the over 20 points. I believe it's right around 20. He averaged 20 last year. Haven't locked this in yet. But this is one I was definitely looking at against the Pistons team that allowed 118 points per game last year. They got a lot of young talent, but I don't believe they really got anything for Tyler Hero. A couple of those jumpers goes down, and 20 points is pretty easy for my dude. But yeah, I'm looking at guys that coming in a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, should be ready to go from day one. I think Tyler Hero's out to prove that he's one of the better players in the league. He's definitely one of the better scoring, two guards in the league. So yeah, I like Tyler Hero tonight. I think he has a big game. But from a side perspective, I definitely would lean the Pistons. Young team, hungry. Opening night in South Beach. Miami's probably not too concerned about this game. However, last time they had played the Pistons, they beat them by double digits, won 4 out of the last 5. But the way I look at this game is Pistons +9 seems pretty fucking juicy to me. But do I really want to be betting on the Detroit Pistons? To start off my season, I would like to see a little bit more. I like this young kid, the rookie they got, looks very talented. We know they have some talent over there, but they're also missing Bogdanovich, who was pretty much their number one dude last year. He'll be out, I believe, for 4 weeks. So, in my opinion, their best player. So you lose their best player. It's probably why it's at 9. Still seems like an awful lot because how simply invested is Miami going to be in game 1 with all these vets? But I do believe Tyler Hero will be locked in and ready to rock and roll.
Well, if you want to add anything to your record here, just tag me and we'll be we'll add it to it. That was Pistons Heat. And a lot of people on the Pistons, but market moving towards the Heat. Johnny K even taking Pistons money line. And it's true. Somebody mentioned this in the chat that, Raymond Riccardo saying, I want Detroit, but I haven't seen anyone in Miami. Seen everybody on Detroit and plus the points. And I can understand why that would make you uncomfortable. And during double is being backed by a bunch of the cappers here, Jay Smooth and Robert Franklin and others as well.
I seen people talking about the Pistons like 3-4 days ago. I'm like, damn, so I haven't really seen too much love for Miami whatsoever.
And Dan Kelly says, don't forget, those young Pistons could be seeing South Beach for the first time. Let's move on to 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Minnesota Timberwolves at Toronto Raptors, Scotiabank Arena, Toronto, Ontario, our home opener. And from a buzz perspective, this is the least amount of buzz that I can remember for a Raptor squad. The least amount of buzz. And I mean, I cannot tell you the last time there was just not everybody talking about it, everybody excited about it, and that's what happens when you enter the land of mediocrity. That's what happens. And we know the Messiah doesn't like it. And we think that our big pieces are going to be moved at some point. But, I mean, the regard that Messiah holds Anunoby in, it might not be easy to move him, man.
I know, like, what the fuck? What does he see out of this guy? I think he's like, he's above average. That's what I see. But, I mean, he's a league defender. He's a top 10 defender. But, I mean, like, you see him in Siakam, it's kind of like, or Siakam is kind of like, I don't know, man. I don't get it.
Well, it'll be fun to have Schroeder's electricity on the floor, especially after taking Germany to the World Cup win, which no one saw coming. Right. Let's take a look at the line history here for this one. This one opened up with the Raptors. It's probably better to talk money line because we're talking about 1 point here instead of. So why don't we move over to the money line for the Raptors home opener. Sitting here with the Raptors at -107 over at Pinnacle. Opened up at +101. It got up to +107. But now we have a little bit of movement towards the Raptors. So 8 cents of movement since this line came out on the Raptors. From a total perspective, we're sitting at 221.5. This opened up at 223.5, dropped to 222.5. Now sitting at 221.5. Let's get into the cash flow for this one. You have 15% of the tickets on the Raptors and 42% of the cash. 57% of the tickets and 68% cash on the under. So, this starting 5 is quite strong. We're really excited about it. Schroeder, Anunoby, Barnes, Siakam, Podol. we think that we're going to be able to do all sorts of things with this group. All sorts of different styles of play we're capable of playing. The Timberwolves have Conley, Edwards, Alexander Walker, Towns, and Gobert starting here. Take it away, Dutch. Timberwolves, Raptors to start the season off up here in the 6.
Yeah, this is a game. This has been a tough game for me, Jim. I actually wanted to talk this one out a little bit with you, see your perspective here. But I want to bet. I really want to bet Minnesota here. I think they're a team, a young team that's going to make a push in the West. Obviously, they're not going to, be in the Western Conference Finals, but I think they'll be solid in the Western Conference. I like the whole offseason with Mike Conley. He's a leader. He's gonna hold people accountable. He's gonna make people do their jobs. I like the whole offseason with him, having him in the addition. I like this team. They have Anthony Edwards, a stud. They have Towns, one of the better big men, and then Gobert. Say what you will about him, but an elite rebounder and a hell of a shot blocker. I look at it from this perspective. Also, I like Naz Reid. I think he's probably the best big man coming off the bench in the NBA. But then I look into it, and the Wolves have fucking lost 18 out of the last 19 games in Toronto. I mean, they do not travel north too fucking well. And then the Raptors, I mean, they handle business at the crib. I mean, with either lineup they have out there, they won. They finished the season 11-2 straight up at the crib. So, they show up there in the north. That better than any of us. So, I don't know. I'm thinking, man, don't overthink it. The Wolves are a better basketball team than the Toronto Raptors. I don't think the Toronto. You mentioned the Toronto Raptors with that starting lineup. It's talented, but I mean, you're gonna be struggling for a fucking 3-pointer. I mean, these boys, you really have. I mean, I guess Siakam's the best shooter out there. I think you let anyone on that team just shoot. Even Schroeder is streaky as fuck from the perimeter. So from that perspective, I have a strong lean here to the Wolves. But it's kind of a red flag when I see they've traveled north 19 times and lost 18 out of last. And I don't go too much into the trends, but that's one that definitely stands out to me against a team in Toronto that wins at home. But I definitely strong lean here to Minnesota. I don't know if I'll get to the window. I think the Raptors bench is light as well. But when I look at that starting lineup, I'm like, they got length, they got talent, but who the fuck is going to knock down the open jump shots? And the Wolves, led by Anthony Edwards. I think, obviously Towns only played 24, 25 basketball games with this team last year. So you had an old off season to bring back Anthony Towns, who can be mid, but can also be pretty nice. To me, Jim, it's Wolves or nothing here. But I don't know if I really necessarily need to be betting the Timberwolves game 1 on the road.
Yeah, I get it. I'm so interested to see what we're going to get from the Raptors, but I agree with Dennis Garcia though with these. I mean, the Raptors cash their win total at a higher percentage to the over than any team in the league over the last 15 years, and it's because they're constantly underrated. 36.5 wins. The only thing that could go wrong is if things do go somewhat wrong in the beginning of the year and Masai just breaks the band up for high draft picks, which is so possibly in the cards. I mean, does he really want mediocrity? Is our peak best performance to be in the play-in tournament?
Yeah, I don't know. This guy, Darko, what do you think about him? I see he's trying to try to run it. You obviously got the new coach there without Nurkic being there. I think he said he's going to run the 10-man rotation and not put so many minutes on your starters. So I don't know. It's still a question mark to me with the new coach in Toronto too. I probably, would be on Toronto if I still knew Nurkic was there. I actually thought I liked him as a coach, but.
Yeah, Nurse is. We're excited about a new voice here. So
it was getting a little stale. I would agree, but I mean, needed to make a couple transitions that I don't think were moved by. But it was more front office, in my opinion.
Dan Clay says, "Hate to tell you this, Jimmy, but Darko reminds me of David Blatt." Oh no.
It kind of does.
You know what, Dennis? I think that I've been sitting with this Raptors total at 36.5 for a while, and it's juiced to the under right now. they should be able to get to that unless they, just decide to break everything up. So I'm interested in betting that today. Let's move on. 8 p.m. Eastern, Oklahoma City Thunder at Chicago Bulls, United Center in Chicago, Illinois. And I kind of want the Raptors too. I just guess I want to watch them first night, and I plan to do that instead. Oklahoma City Thunder at Chicago Bulls. Let's get into the line history here for this one. We'll start with the total here. It's at 226 right now at Pinnacle. Opened at 228.5 at Pinnacle. It opened at 230.5 at Bet Online. So that's where we stand right now. It's dropped 2.5 points here, and it's dropped 4 points over at Bet Online. Going to the point spread for Thunder and Bulls. We're sitting at a -2.5. This opened up at -1 for the Bulls. This got to +1 for the Bulls. And then all of a sudden, Bulls money started coming in and the lines adjusted. We have right now 25% of the tickets on the Bulls and 66% of the cash. So legit big bets coming in and perceived sharp action on the Bulls. 33% of the tickets and 54% of the cash on the under. And we've seen it drop very, very quickly here. We have for the Thunder, everybody excited, so excited about this squad. You got Shea after that spectacular summer representing Canada in the World Cup. Josh Giddey, whose ceiling is nowhere to be found. I mean, who knows how good this kid's going to be? Dort's defense, Williams and Chet. Finally, we get to see Chet. Hopefully, he can stay healthy so we can see him. And then for the Bulls, Kobe White, Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Williams, and Vooch is the starting five here. Take it away for us here, Dutch, the team that everybody wants to talk about, the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Yeah, man, I like the Thunder here. I haven't went to the window yet with it. The Bulls, man, they just didn't do anything to wow me. I mean, they did absolutely nothing. They're the same fucking stale-ass team as last year. They have you mentioned their starting five. It's pretty solid outside of Kobe White. I mean, I love the Tar Heels, but he's not a starting point guard in the NBA. And outside of Zach LaVine, and he does get, hot from three, but outside of Zach LaVine, they really have no perimeter shooting as well. They do have, Caruso coming off the bench. They can play some defense at times. But I do think this Thunder team, man, you mentioned that they're loaded, man. I think Shea will be the best player on the field. I think Chet Holmgren is a fucking night matchup for Vooch or Patrick Williams, whoever you want to put on him. This boy should be able to do it. But I want to see it. I really want to see it. I think that the Thunder would be the play here, especially if it get. I mean, right now I see +2 at William Hill. So if it keeps going up, the one thing that laid me off this game is both Williams boys are out this game. Maybe if I had one of them out there, the Thunder are deep, but you lose both of the Jalen Williams. I mean, opening night in Chicago, as you mentioned earlier, this is a team with the same core coming back, so they should be ready to rock and roll. No real questions. Billy Donovan obviously coaching against his old team. However, OKC did beat him both times last year, so I strongly lean to the Thunder here. I'm gonna go ahead and stay off this game with the two Williams brothers being out, and then obviously some strong money coming in on Chicago. Kind of betting on that core, but I do believe Chicago will be a fade a lot of nights.
I agree with that, but the most most successful angle to start the years in every sport is to bet against the team that people are most excited about. It works over and over and over again in every sport. And
that's why I'm betting against Boston. I think everyone's going to be like, it's Boston,
There's
okay,
legitimacy.
Kind of same spot here. You got the core. You got a team coming back with the core in Chicago. Didn't do too many things to wow you. They got a nice starting five. They're well coached with, not greatly coached, but well coached with Billy. And, so.
Yeah. And look at DG says everyone knows OKC's better. OKC win total like 7 games better. Everybody loves OKC, and yet the line's moving towards Chicago. He says, I hate this market stuff, but it's very noticeable here. Let's move on. Next on the board, 8 p.m. Eastern, New Orleans Pelicans at Memphis Grizzlies, FedEx Forum in Memphis, Tennessee. Let's get into the line history here for this one. We have Memphis sitting at -1, which is they open at -1.5. So we've had a half-point move to the Pelicanos. Get into the total here for this one. We are sitting at 224.5. 224. This opened up at 227.5 at Pinnacle. It opened up at 229.5 at Bet Online. So we're seeing huge market moves towards the under, almost across the board here. We're not seeing any huge market moves towards the over. Very, very important to keep an eye on this and to track the success of it. We have 70. Oh, sorry, money line's probably more important. 75% of tickets, 76% of cash on the Pelicans money line. Spread, it's 71% of tickets, 49% of cash. For the total, you have 48% of the tickets and 70% cash on that under. So this group, McCollum, Ingram, Herbert Jones, Williamson, and JV, no Alvarado to start the season. From Memphis, Marcus Smart making his debut in a Grizzly uniform. Desmond Bain, we have Williams, Jaren Jackson, and Tillman. So, of course, no Ja for 25 games, and Clark out as well. Take it away for us here, Dutch. Pelicans, Grizzlies at FedEx Forum.
Yeah, man. No, the Grizzlies obviously will be missing Ja. I believe the big, I don't want to say Ja, obviously the better player, but Steven Adams is huge to that team. We noticed it when he left. He still is not going to be there. And then obviously Brooks, the villain, left there, maybe not being the most popular guy, but he was a big piece of that team as well. You replace him, obviously, with Marcus Smart. I believe it's an upgrade, but you lose Ja there, so now he's running your point. I mean, you lose, I believe, the best backup point guard in the league in Tyus Jones. And you're going to be relying an awful lot on Desmond Bain. Had a great preseason. I think he'll be fine. But I think the Memphis Grizzlies are in for a downfall this year. And I think the absolute opposite with the Pelicanos. Obviously, I like to have Alvarado out there with his energy. But I believe the Pelicans are going to make a significant run this year. I believe they'll be a better basketball team, especially with their best player, Brandon Ingram, having somewhat of a reality check. Kind of got humbled a little bit in the USA team this year. Really didn't perform up to his capability. I think he probably took that. He's going to come out and show this, show everybody, because this guy loves basketball. He's a gym rat. So I believe he's been working on his craft, and he's going to be locked in from day one. Obviously, injuries will be key. Stay healthy, but I think BI has a huge year. I think Zion, when he's on the court, he's definitely going to help this basketball team. Not the biggest Zion guy by any means. Still doesn't look like an NBA basketball shape to me, but I guess he's in the best shape Zion will be in. And as long as he's on the basketball court, this team will be better, because he is a basketball player. That's why it's so frustrating. It's like, get your ass in shape and you could be a good motherfucking basketball player. But he's solid. You got Big Val going against his old team in Memphis. I don't think they really have much for him. Memphis's bench is pretty light too. You got Larry Nance coming in off the bench for for the Pelicanos. And of course you have Najee Harris, you have Trey Murphy. I like this team here. I think, obviously with McCollum having another year there, I think CJ fits in real well with this team. He's loving I believe he's as happy as he's been, even happier than he was in Portland. So I like the Pelicanos here heavy. They've lost 5 straight to Memphis. So I believe this is where they get it going. They're going to, they've been kind of bullied by Memphis here the past couple years. And I think they're going to kind of, so to say, knock the bully when he's down, kick that motherfucker when he's down. And I think the Pelicanos run away with this basketball game. So I got a -110. I like it an awful lot.
Pelicans for our guy Dutch. Yeah, Steven Adams out for the year, not coming back. That was such a mistake not getting the surgery done right when the season ended. Someone should be sued for that. But Trey Murphy's out to start the year with a knee injury.
Right.
This spot makes sense here. The money line on the Pelicans to get the year off to a good start. You didn't tweet this out, right? So I can give you the best line available?
Yeah, I didn't tweet this one.
-101. Huh. Very, very, very interesting. The Pelicans.
I'm high on these guys this year. I really am. I think they got 3 of the more dynamic players on one team. If Zion's bought in, like he's solid. CJ, we didn't get out of him, and BI, man, he's one talented dude. So lost a couple. We'll see how this bench goes, but they do have Najee Harris. They do have Larry Nance. Missing Trey Murphy and Alvarado isn't ideal. But I still believe Memphis is missing too much to replace, and Marcus Smart's going to help that team, but he's going to frustrate some of those guys too, because he does make some frustrating plays, and then he's going to look at you and tell you to shut the fuck up when it's his fault. So, you can't say shit to him. Maybe Desmond might. We'll see. But Steven Adams is probably the only motherfucker that say something to him, and he ain't out there. So, we'll see.
We have 3 games left on this card, and we would love to hear at the end of it if there's any futures that you have moved on or are still thinking about moving on. Let's go 9 p.m. Eastern, Sacramento Kings at Utah Jazz. We're at the Delta Center in Salt Lake City. Start with the line history here. We have Utah at +2. They opened up at +1, so there's been a 1-point move towards Sacramento Kings. Guess the Utah Jazz won't be sneaking up on anybody this year, as the big difference from last year when they snuck up on everyone. This total has dropped immensely. 241 is where it opened here at Pinnacle. It's strange because it didn't open up that high, at Bet Online, but it opened very, very high at Pinnacle. So just a ludicrously huge drop of 7.5 points down to 233.5 from 241. Huge drop. Let's take a look at the cash flow then for this one. We have 34% of the tickets and 46% of the cash on the Utah Jazz. Then 54% of the tickets and 67% of cash on the under. Taking a look at this Jazz group: Clarkson, Horton, Tucker, Markkanen, Collins, and Kessler. God, Kessler and Markkanen can look so good together. And now we have John Collins in that group. For the Kings, Darren Fox, Kevin Huerter, Harrison Barnes, Keegan Murray, and then Domantas Sabonis at center. Take it away for us here, Dutch. Kings at Utah to start the season.
Yeah, man, this game has a lot similar to me as the Wolves. Looking at this game right away, I was like, I want to be on Sacramento. Broke it down a little bit. And, they don't play well in Utah, man. They really don't. They're 1-7 straight up last 8 in Utah, 3-12-1 against the number, last 16 against Utah overall. So something about Utah, they play these boys well. Obviously, you touched on it. Utah started on fire last year with the new head coach, all these boys. But, they still have talent. They got fucking 4, 5, 6 guards. It's always a tough place to play in Utah. Sacramento, definitely the better team. I think the Kings didn't really do too much to improve, so I wouldn't look for the Kings to have such as a better season as last year. I think they're probably going to be maybe even take a step back. Not be so much as a worse team. I just feel like teams are going to even know them a little bit more, expect a little bit more from Sacramento, because obviously Utah caught everyone from surprise from the beginning. I believe everyone caught Sacramento the whole damn year. De'Aaron Fox, the real deal. Sabonis is one of the more talented big dudes in the league. That Murray boy can shoot the ball. Obviously, you know what you're going to get out of Harrison Barnes. And Malik Monk had one hell of a season last year. So, but I look at them, I'm like, they didn't really do too much to get any better. To be quite honest with you, I can make a case realistically for Utah at the house. So I'm just going to stay away from this game, watch it, and learn and see if Sacramento did get any better with this core, because I don't believe they made any moves to get better. So I'll just have to watch and see.
I'm interested in Utah tonight. Do you think that part of the reason why Utah succeeds at home at the start every season is just the players aren't quite prepared for the elevation at the game 1, game 2, game 5 of the season?
Absolutely. I'm sure it has a big situation, as you've seen kind of last night in Mile High with LA. They looked tired.
Yeah.
Or with
I'm
LA.
bet the Jazz tonight.
Yeah, I think after looking at it, it was like the 2 games that I thought I was going to be on and were on the other side was the Wolves game. I feel like the Raptors are probably the play, and the Kings, I feel like the Jazz are probably the play.
Yeah,
couple of these games, like the Thunder, kind of the same thing. I wanted to be on the Thunder, and then I look at them like, oh shit, maybe the Bulls are the look.
Yeah, and that's what's so important about us getting to talk everything through like this, is it really clarifies your stance. And when you have the conviction to move on something, you've thought it all through and broken it down and listened to the chat, and
Absolutely.
That's the beauty of the show. 2 games left here. Next up for us, Dallas Mavericks at San Antonio Spurs. Frostbank Center. San Antonio, Texas. And we will be there soon. We've moved the dates for Pubapalooza. We've moved the dates because we didn't realize that we'd booked it for Easter. Can't believe it. So it's the week before. It's the Friday the 22nd, Saturday. So Friday 22nd is the poker game. Saturday the 23rd, Sunday the 24th. The 24th is the comedy show. And we're going to fly in on Thursday the 21st and leave on the Monday the 25th. I might go in get in a little bit earlier than that, but that's the plan. So, and hopefully, because there were on the Easter weekend games in San Antonio, we'll have to double check all that with Slaughter. But here we go. Wemby's first game. We have the mural on our wall at the Southtown 101, and Wemby's been down there, seen the mural, and had lemonade at the bar.
Nice cold lemonade. Huh?
Ice cold lemonade. The store opens up. So this is one of the rare totals that's gone up. Opened up at 227.5. We're now at 230.5. A 3-point move towards the over. Let's take a look at the spread here for this one. Oh, sorry. Going to take a second for the spread. Let me get that rolling. And here we go. This spread opened up over at BetOnline at 5. At Pinnacle, this opened up at 3.5. So very different opening numbers here. Opened up at 3.5, got down to 3, and then it started moving in the direction. Actually, it didn't. It fell back to 3.5 again. Wow. So this was down at 3.5. I didn't realize that. And it's back at 4.5 now. So we've had a lot of market movement here. Let's take a look at the cash flow for this one. You have 36% of the tickets and 68% of cash on the Spurs. And then from the total perspective, 18% of the tickets, now 19 and 49% of the cash on the under. So it doesn't really correlate with the situation. Luka game time decision. So maybe he's good to go by this point move towards Dallas. Irving, Green, Williams, and Derek Lively, the center here. And then, what a spot for Wemby. Now Zach Collins is going to help to have him beside him. We don't know if he's in right now. He's a game time decision. So that's a big part of the story. So take it away for us here. Maverick Spurs in Wemby's first game of his career.
Yeah, man. I love me some Luka too, man, but I don't know about this Dallas Mavericks. This roster is just not it. I didn't like the fit when they got Kyrie. I felt like it was 1 foot out the door for Luka. I don't like any of the moves they made. Their front court is it's trash. I guess they're expecting a lot out of this Lively dude from Duke. I don't know about it. Outside of Tim Hardaway Jr. on their bench, they're expecting a lot, I guess, out of this Josh Green guy. I don't see it. I just don't see it with Dallas. Obviously, you got two of the more talented offensive dudes in the league, and one of the better players in the league, in my opinion, than Luka with Kyrie. But I just don't see it with Dallas, to be quite honest with you. It's frustrating to see they're going to be wasting away from my guy Luka the Don's fucking career. It's the San Antonio Spurs, though. If I bet this game, it would be Dallas Mavericks first quarter. But Luka's questionable here. Do I really want to bet with Luka being, in and out? If he goes, he'll play. You get Luka that whole first quarter, so you know what it is. It's Dallas first quarter or nothing. But I wanted to bet Wemby over 17.5 points, but on my books, on a lot of my books, I got to look for it a little more. It wasn't up a lot, but it was available at 135. I'm not going to do that. But I like what I've seen out of this kid in the preseason, dropping 15, 20 like it's nothing. He'll get extended minutes. Dallas, from a defensive perspective, has absolutely fucking nothing for this dude. Not too many players not too many teams do, but definitely not the Dallas fucking Mavericks. They got big, slow guys. So I just don't see. I see Wemby getting 20 plus pretty easy tonight. But yeah, I got quite a few plays already for me. So I'm not going to lay the 135 with Wemby. Maybe find some better juice out there. I'll look a little later, but yeah, I see Wemby getting 20 plus tonight against in-state rivalry. I like it a lot. I don't see how this guy doesn't get 20 against a suspect ass Dallas Mavericks front court.
Let us know if you make that official here, Wemby. I don't know what Cuban's thinking with this squad, man. This group. Yeah. DG has Vassell most improved.
Yeah, he's playing. And watching that, just to touch on that, he's like the guy out there. Like Wemby is the guy, But Vassell, like, is the guy that's gonna go get you a bucket. Like, he's got the ball in his hands a lot. He's playing with confidence, and the coaching staff is giving him the green light. Obviously, they want Wemby to do his thing, but I when I'm watching them, I'm seeing Vassell with the ball an awful fucking lot.
Talk about the final spot here on the Spurs. Woo RZA liking the Spurs in that one. 10:30 p.m. Eastern. Portland Trailblazers at Los Angeles Clippers. We're at Crypto in Los Angeles, California. Let's talk about the line history for here. Our final game on the board. Dutchie, great job breaking down this enormously huge card. Sitting here with the Clippers as 9-point favorites. We already discussed that Miami and the Clippers are the biggest favorites on the board. This opened up at 9.5. It's dropped to 9. By the way, 9.5's on the board for Miami as well now at Bovada and Pinnacle. So that's the biggest spread on the board. Take a look at the total here for this one. And we are sitting at 225.5. It's opened up at 228.5 at BetOnline and opened up at 230 at Pinnacle. So we've had another huge drop on the total here. Let's get into the cash flow for this last one. We have 70% of the tickets and 93% of the cash on the Blazers. It's moved a half point in their direction. 37% of the tickets and 83% of the cash on the under. Clear sharp money has moved it heavily. Look at this Blazers squad. It's so much fun how they've built this squad so quickly. Scoot, Simon, Thibault, Jeremy Grant, DeAndre Ayton. It's going to be fun to watch them. For the Clippers, Westbrook, George, Leonard, Covington, and Zubac. I have some friends that were in Portland, and this is sort of beside the fact, but they were saying that they've never seen the city in such disarray. Stores closing, everything closing down. That downtown Portland is falling off right now. Hopefully, this team can bring some life back to this great city. Take it away for us here, Dutch. Blazers, Clippers.
Yeah, man. Shout out to our boy Jay Peasy. If you didn't know, he's on the motherfucking intro. Shout out to our guy, Matty Ice as well. I see you, my dude. Yeah, man. Well, Portland is dreary as fuck. Outside of some good weed, some good seafood, and a lot of nasty ass strip clubs. I mean, ain't really shit else to do out there. So hopefully the Blazers can, bring back a little bit of love to the city. Because, it's okay to spend a couple nights there, actually. It's just after a week, you're going to be depressed as fuck from all the rain. But a couple nights is all right. In Rip City. But yeah, I think the Blazers, man. I think this would be the way. This would be, I honestly kind of want to bet the Blazers, Jim, but I'm not going to. But there's no fucking way in hell I would lay with this team, the LA Clippers, bro. They're fugazi to me. They really are. The roster still don't make sense to me. I mean, and then this talk about trying to bring in James Harden, like how many basketballs do you have in LA? I don't know. But you don't have enough already with when you sign Russell Westbrook. So you got Russell Westbrook, and now you want to add James Harden when you already got Peach. It just makes absolutely no sense to me. This team is overloaded with wings. Are they talented? Absolutely. If Kawhi Leonard can show us anything that he was, will they be a good basketball team? Yes. So many question marks to me. I think you got a young, hungry, talented basketball team in Portland. I like what I've seen out of Scooter. I like what obviously after Simons, you've seen what he did last year. He found his game last year. You got Jeremy Grant. You got DA coming in with a chip. You got Robert Williams now. Your bench. You're bringing Malcolm Brogdon. The more and more I talk about it, I want to be on the Portland Trailblazers, but I just don't know if I'm going to get to the window. It is a late game, Jim, so we'll see how it goes. And the way it's looking, money's coming in on the Clippers, so there's no rush. But I do believe the Blazers would be the side I'd have to go to. I like overall their team. They have to show, they're still just putting the pieces together. So it could take a little bit. Is another reason why I haven't fully wanted to pull the trigger on this. But you got a lot of young dudes, a lot of guys that out to prove something, and you got a couple guys there off the bench that I think can kind of hold the boys together. I think Portland as a dog this year might be something we could look at, and they're very appealing to me opening night.
Yeah, I get it, but with these teams that have so many new pieces, I just want to watch them and see if there's some comfort.
Yeah,
because the Clippers have a lot of continuity with this squad, and it makes me nervous here. So we're going to stay off of Portland, LA Clippers. And speaking of Portland, the best bookstore I've ever been to in my life, Powell City of Books, man. That sports section, me and Son Dizzle spent, I'm not exaggerating, I think 5 hours there.
Okay.
And smoked the bad. That's where I found this book called Trading Bases that completely rocked my world, and I set up my first kind of a hedge fund off of that book with the Seahawks and the Niners when they had Kaepernick and Russell Wilson as their quarterbacks because they were paying them both $1 million and they were getting $20 million value. And could talk about that.
I respect it, Jim. I respect it, but that tells you a little bit about Portland. He's talking about a fucking bookstore, you know.
Yeah, and donuts, books.
I know
and
you're
donuts.
big on reading. I'm just fucking with you.
No, I love it. I love it. There we go. What a job, Dutch, coming in here for our first NBA breakdown. Bang with the bag with this huge, huge card, and you were excellent. So let's go through everything right now. Let's go through. Oh, Dan, it's the best I've ever been to in my life. It's certainly the best, I think, in North America. Powell, City of Books. So I'm very, very interested in the Hornets here at home. Maybe this is a mistake, but I am very interested in them at home. I want to see if this can get to 4. Ski gave us the over 233.5 in Wizards, Pacers, and Polo this, Polo that's got a parlay with Poole, 20 points, Pacers halftime, full time. Dutch moved on the Knicks plus 4 minus 113. Mitchell Robinson over 8.5 rebounds, and I want to join him on the Knicks. Rockets Magic, we stayed off, but Dutch moved on the under 220.5. He tweeted it out last night. I retweeted it last night. Under 220.5 for the total in that one. I would like to join him on that one after the breakdown. He's also on Simmons rebounds and assists over 14.5, and I want the Nets. I would like to move on the Nets as well. Then for Pistons Heat, we're staying off. I'm going to move on the Raptors over 36.5 wins. I think it probably becomes a sweat. And I don't think I move on them tonight. Again, a team with all these different, not different pieces, but a huge change in the point guard role. But maybe I don't know. I haven't decided yet there. Oklahoma City Thunder, Chicago Bulls, we are off. Dutch is on the Pelicans, minus 101 money line. I think I would like to join him on that. I mean, the only concern is Desmond Bane going, 7 of 9 from 3 and putting up 40. And even if he does that, I still think Pelicans can be in business here. I'm moving on Utah. I've decided to move on Utah. Dallas Mavericks, San Antonio Spurs, and Trailblazers Clippers, we are off. Cam Raphael, I've switched what I'm using right now, and this isn't the gospel. Like I don't know if if these numbers are true or anything like that. Sort of just kind of a base. But I'm using the Action Network. It's like $100 a year. And JR says, don't forget my birthday pick, because we did want to touch on futures. But Dutchy, JR is going to be at the Nets-Cavs game, and I told him that you had the birthday pick in that spot. But you have 2 picks now in that spot. So he's going to be live at that game, Barclays Center. What a great way to spend your birthday, JR. So Dutch is on the under 220.5, and Simmons rebounds and assists. That is
it's a beautiful thing, man, because the best look on the board was the 221.5. That's why I hit you with it last night. The 220.5 is good money, man. We'll keep that as the birthday pick. He's going to be live at the game, and that's the one I got the 2-star by anyways. It's a 2-unit play. It's the Cavs under 220.5. It's good money, man. Happy birthday, JR.
And I think that after sitting with all of this for so long that a risk reward factor, I still think I think that I'm stuck between 2 spots, JR. I'm stuck between the under 6.5 in Capitals Devils and Utah Jazz. And I think that I end up, and I fear giving out a side in NBA. It's better a side for me because I focus on sides for the first couple of weeks, but I kind of lean towards the Utah Jazz after sitting here and talking about it and thinking about it and breaking it all down as the best spot on the board for me is the Utah Jazz. But I'm really close to saying that it's the under 6.5 in Washington, New Jersey, just because that's at plus 110 and the probability, I think that's good. But I guess I give out the Utah Jazz. Utah Jazz is my birthday pick. I'm a little hesitant just because I just hit double digits, 10 straight birthday pick winners, which is nuts.
That's gangster.
It's nuts. I've never had this going for
motherfucking 11.
All right, Utah Jazz is the spot here.
I like it. I mean, honestly, I broke that bitch down like a pound. And I was like, man, Utah's the play. Fuck Sacramento. But I'm going to stay off that game. But I'll root for you and JR.
Thank you. And JR, have a great time at the game. Much love to you. And Dutchie, thank you for being here and delivering this huge card, man. I really expect it to go this long. If these are going to be Wednesdays, we'll figure out some different arrangement. So it's not an hour and a half, but you're the man, Dutch. Thank you for making time for us, my guy. I will be in touch. Go out there and get that catch and follow Dutch on X at DutchBoyFresh. Go out there and get that catch, Dutchie, my man. Thank you for your time and energy.
Appreciate you, Jim. Y'all stay fresh.
So I have a lot of work to do here. Under 6.5. I find that first period under appealing as well. But if the score is 1-1 after 1, I don't feel like that I'm in enormous trouble at that point. And I'm banking on Hunter Shepard tonight. So under 6.5 there. Jacksonville State Gamecocks team total under 30.5. Razor Sharp Picks also gave out his whole card at Parks. So let me get that here in the chat. There we go. Then in I'm staying off UTEP Sam Houston right now. Something just doesn't right, but I would love to be on Sam Houston. I moved on for Best Bets Friday. I'm on Charlotte +4. Now we'll talk about that game again with Bobano on Friday, but I wanted to get in on it. And I think I move on the FAU team total under. I think that all correlates with my plan here. And then being the favorites, FAU, that's what and Ragoo on the under 41 too. So Dabby Cab gave us his looks as well. Oklahoma first half -5.5, Tennessee first half -2.5, and Oregon State first half -2.5. Ragoo's best bets as well, under 51.5, and Florida State Wake Forest. I find that quite appealing. I find that very appealing. I think I'm going to tail that. He's on the Pittsburgh Panthers over 10.5. Now he gave that out for our show. He bet that at 9, and he just destroyed that market move. Then he's on Louisville -4. I want to join him on that. He's on Baylor money line at +120 and Marshall team total under 26.5. And then I moved on the Arizona State Sun Devils at +6, and that was not approved by the masses here, and that does concern me here. Everybody else on Washington State, but it is what it is. And then I'm going to go make moves on this NBA card right now, right here, right now. Thank you guys so much. We have nothing without you in the chat. Dan Kelly, great to have NBA back. Can't wait to watch you rock this year. Oh, look who it is.
Whoa.
You. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing well. I'm going to the basketball game tonight.
Oh, wow.
I disguised it as a Helga birthday present. So I'll be in the arena tonight. So obviously I've bet the Spurs +4 for your record keeping purposes. And by the way, Jimmy, I'm all the way in on the San Antonio Spurs this year. So I've also bet them to make the playoffs as well at plus, I think it was 800 I got. So I'm all the way in. And me and my close personal friend, Victor Wembanyama, we're going to have some great times at Southtown 101, hopefully in the future.
Were you not there when he was?
It's a funny story about that. Classic. I had a show. Did the show. I had a show later that night, a few hours later. So I went home, and in the time that I went home and came back, he was there and had left. So it was great. Yeah, I missed him by a fucking testicular hair. But no, me and my close personal friend, Victor Wembanyama, we're going to have a great time. I'm going to show that young buck what it is, 19-year-old. I'm an old man compared to him, so.
Can you give us a sneak peek on your feelings of what happened to the Buffalo Bills on Sunday?
God, what fucking fuck you. God damn it. I fucking hate those. As soon as I woke up and I saw the line at Seahawks -9 and Bills at 7.5, I was like, oh, fuck me. I'm fucked. I knew I was fucked. And it was so annoying. And my ideal scenario was that everyone loses at that point. I was like, all right. Well, let's bring everyone down to the slop. And Josh Allen sucks cock, and Mac Jones, of course, pulls a fucking game-winning drive out of his fucking vulva. It was the most annoying thing I've ever seen in my life. By the way, Jimmy, you got me in trouble at the wedding weekend. You rubbed off on me a little bit too much. I might have been a little intoxicated,
Sure.
and I was talking shit to one of my friends' girlfriends, and I might have commented on the length and the droopiness of her pussy lips, and she was nonplussed about that. She was nonplussed about that. But I did buy her a shot. We buried the hatchet, but it was it was one of those moments where I was like, "Damn, Jimmy really has rubbed off on me, huh?"
Yeah, that's something that you only say to other men.
Yeah, well, we were just talking shit. We were just chatting shit, and then I was drunk, and I guess you took over me. I became a little bit of the pollutant there.
No, that's not. You talk about men's pussy lips. That's like the most important part of that whole thing.
Yeah, it was bad ball. I apologize. I got a shot. We buried the hatchet, but yeah, there was definitely one of those things where I was like, "Fuck, Jimmy, what are you doing to me?"
Yeah,
your teachings there.
I apologize, but I bet you she does have bulbous lips.
Yeah, she was a lovely woman. We were just chatting shit, and the pollutant came out there for a little bit.
Well,
but yeah, Victor Wembanyama.
Just for the future, remember that's just something you say to men. And you might get punched by a man, but still, it's something
It'd be
you
worth
only
it.
say.
I was about to get punched by a woman. So,
okay.
And I also, by the way, I'm hoping my fucking local, because I've been betting with my local because I'm too lazy to fucking re-up on Bet Online and such recently. But I'm hoping my local has the 2.5 blocks for Wemby as well, because I'm going to move on that as well. But I have not had that up yet, so it's very frustrating with locals so far. But Victor Wembanyama blocks will hopefully be on my card.
And we have a question from our guy Coin. And shout out to Fap Win giving out the Australian racing today for Gosford race 7 Iverson at 4-1. So I love it. Thank you, Fap. Coin says he's got Texas plus 23.50 to win the World Series. Hedge opportunity, Jimmy, or no thoughts? It all depends on your bankroll and how much you're betting.
Yeah.
So it's all. So you don't need to tell us that, but so if let's say your bankroll is flimsy, and you could bring in $2,350 if you're right, then and you would like to add 500 or 600 to your bankroll, then yeah, I mean I think that you're getting a pretty nice spot here with the Diamondbacks, especially they're plus 145 and they're plus 150 to win the series. So I mean that makes it pretty easy for you because you have the favorite. But you can also hope that a spot materializes. The problem is you could make the mistake that I made when it was 2-0 Phillies and Billy Friedrich moved on the plus 615 on the Diamondbacks. All I had to do, literally, is bet $200, and I was very confident. And that's the problem. That's why, that's the trickiness. So it all depends on your need and how much you bet. So, but let me tell you, you're in a great spot to do that because you have the favorite. Remember, hedging is only going to blow up in your face if you're on the dog. That's when you're screwed.
Yeah, no, I would hedge personally, but it has to be obviously like Jimmy said, but you've got a pretty easy opportunity to hedge.
Yeah, and DG saying never count out a team until you see them play at home. There you go. There's our show for today. Thank you all in the chat. Philly Eagle, Flyer, Sky Dragon, Equanimus, Jeffrey Moore, that one dude, Nasty Nate, North Ender, Coin, WT, Crypto-ish, Raymond Reichart, Mr. Vape, Sancho, Ramon Scott, Justin McElvey, Fap Win, Ian Shaber, Polo this, Polo that. Nice to have Jared White rolling with us. And then JR, happy birthday. Have an incredible time at the game tonight. And you too, Jose, have a spectacular game or have a spectacular time at the game. And hopefully it's a great game. Jay Peasy, thank you for running with us. Rance, Vipe, Mally Mal, Cam Raphael, Harold Williams, Jared TG, Robert Franklin, Matty Ice, Dan Kelly. So many of you guys. I wish I'd give you all a shout out, but maybe I can do it all in person. Maybe I can do it all in person at Pubapalooza 3, which we have a date change So, well, you know what, Jose, we should also try to come up with a thumbnail for that soon and just lock it in the dates, in the next week or so. But thank you for all your hard work, Jose, my man. It's great to see you on screen. We've missed you. Do you want to please bless our action and leche us into the future?
Well, you'll be happy to know that in classic fashion, I started drinking already as well.
Oh, good.
A Mexican punch, an alcoholic beverage prepared with tequila. A product of our cousins from the South.
It does not sound masculine, but I hope you enjoy it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. By the way, I have enjoyed watching the playoffs this year and watching Venezuelan King Moreno just do his thing back there behind the plate. So shout out to my guy there. But appreciate everyone for watching as always. Hit the like button. Let us know what you're on in the chat, in the comments below. I tailed a lot of them. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Shout out to the first period under in the hockey game tonight. Caps. Don't know who's in goal for the Caps, like we said, but fuck it. We ride. It's going to be a lot of fun. So, leche, los bookmakers. Let's go.